Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, Paranormal Portal Podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together.
Gatekeepers, what is up? Gosh, I've missed you guys. How are you doing? I see everybody's been active in this chat before we even got started. Bacon has been slinging back and forth. We actually had baked beans on the grill with an entire pound of bacon. There was more bacon than beans. And I fried the bacon on the grill. You can't get much more American than that. And that means love. So the love has been grilling since before the show. So I hope that it's going to fly right on through this. Look at all these beautiful people. Pam Smith is slinging the bacon. We got Ann. We got Glenn. Blue, you're going to love this show. We're going to need you. We get eyes on. And it's going to be fantastic. Salvador, hello. Mairead, hello. AJK, you were the first one in, I think. First again, I think. Hello, Gray. Hey, Lindsay, how you doing, darling? Love you, love you, love you. Mwah. Okay, tonight we have got some wonderful people, so without delay, let's bring them in here. Everything looks good in the castle. You can see me. You can hear me 5-5, right? I've probably been talking all this time without my mic on. And let's bring in this wonderful fella right here. The wonderful Donny Cho. Hello, Donny.
Hi.
Hey, everybody. Donny is on location, in an undisclosed bunker somewhere, and he has been digging his wonderful mind and toes into this crime since I threw it at you about a month ago, right, Donny? In and out, we've been kind of talking about it a couple weeks. It was before you guys went to Gettysburg.
And I had never heard of this case before you brought it up. So,
and I basically just said, hey, Donny, this is what I'd like to do. I threw out an idea to him, and Donny decided it would be a great idea. I have seen and read the book Fatal Vision. Now, of course, this is the MacDonald case, and it happened in 1970 in Fort Bragg. And, of course, we're going to get more into this, but this is a case that's kind of falls in this whole conspiracy. I mean, gosh, it spans over 50 years, Donny. It's 52 years now, I believe.
It's kind of still going on, too.
It is. It is. And it just keeps going and keeps going. And we thought it would be great. Donny has not seen the mini-series that maybe some of you guys remember. It was called Fatal Vision, based on the book. It really did stick a lot to the facts. If you read the transcripts from the different trials, it was, of course, the military, it wasn't a military tribunal, it was more of a hearing, and we'll hear more about that. But then again, there was court trials and appeals and so many other things. So tonight we're going to start basically with some clips from Fatal Vision. So Donny has not seen it, but he has looked into the case on his own, and we've not really discussed our thoughts on it back and forth. So that's going to be kind of a surprise and unveiling in real time. And then we asked somebody we just think is wonderful, as well as I know you guys do too, the wonderful Dylan Wade Clark right here. Here we go. From the great show Creepy Unsolved. Now, Dylan, this is your wheelhouse, but you kind of are coming in a little bit different tonight. Tell the listeners tonight how you got involved in this.
Sysco sent me a text earlier this week. I told her I had a lot going on. I'm replacing the ceiling in my house. Well, I'd love to be on the show, but I have no background information on this. So I'm going in kind of blind, probably like a lot of people in the chat tonight. So I'll be experiencing this case, the same way a lot of people listening are.
Isn't
So,
that fantastic?
it
What a
is.
concept. What a concept, because, we've got so many different, aspects coming in on this. Now, you guys are part of this too. Aunt Edna, Maraid, I love you so much, darling. Monica, Linda, like I said, Blue, everybody coming in here, you guys are going to be part of this now. You may have heard over the years different parts of evidence, or a little piece here, a little piece there. It's been shown on Unsolved Mysteries. It's definitely had its multiple documentaries all over YouTube. Wonderful crime podcasts have tried to tear this one apart inside and out. And I thought, why not take this concept now? One of my first, like I said in the beginning of the show, was reading the book Fatal Vision. Now, Fatal Vision was written, I've got his name. Hold 1 second. The man who wrote it actually was hired by Captain MacDonald, Dr. MacDonald, which is this whole case is based around, to go with him and basically take a day-to-day journal, so to speak, on everything that was going on. You'll see the people involved in this are a wonderful young woman named Colette, which was his Jeffrey's wife, and their 2 young daughters, and Colette was also 5 months pregnant with a son. And they knew each other since they were 13 and 14 years old. Therefore, her family also knew Jeff growing up. And you'll see in this whole thing where the whole family stood together and then started to come apart, and how that all happened. Now, how many people in the chat, just a show of hands, if you have heard of, before tonight, heard of the Jeffrey MacDonald case? Sometimes it's called the Green Beret case, or the murder at Fort Bragg. Now, there have been multiple murders and situations like this at Fort Bragg, so you may have heard of this one or another one, but as it unfolds, I think you'll start to remember, maybe catching a piece of it on early TV or something like that, because like Donnie said, this is still going on, and it has been going on for 50 years. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch like 4 or 5, 10, 12-minute clips that are going to take you through Fatal Vision. You have not heard of it, Lindsay? Anybody else? Okay. And Edna said she's biased right out of the gate. I believe you did it.
Should I give some background information about this guy before we start?
Absolutely. Go right ahead, Donnie. Take it away.
Okay. So this Jeffrey MacDonald dude, he was kind of the Captain America, quintessential, like, American perfect guy. He got a 3-year scholarship into Princeton and studied medicine. And then he went to Northwestern, which is one of the top med schools in the country, in Chicago. Got his, studied medicine there, became a doctor, did his internship in New York City. And then after 1 year of internship, when he got done, he decided with his wife, he was like, you know what? I think I want to be a Green Beret.
Yep.
So he goes into the military basic physicians training. I guess they had a separate training program for doctors who are trying to go into the military. I don't know how all that works. But then, so he gets into the Green Beret and becomes a Green Beret physician. And this guy joined the Green Beret because he was trying to go into Vietnam to serve. Mm-hmm. But what happened was, because for some reason, as a Green Beret doctor, he had to stay stateside and work there. And a lot of what he did, it seemed like, was preventative medicine. It was like actually like giving anti-malarial shots to Green Berets who were going there, So yeah, that's a little bit of a story about this guy's like life and education.
Absolutely. And he was an extreme overachiever, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it does go with his personality that he was involved. I mean, he was the captain of this team and that team. He wasn't just involved in the baseball team. It's football, baseball, everything.
Voted
Key
most
club.
popular guy,
Leader his
most
whole
likely
life.
to succeed.
Yes, president of the class. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, several different years in a row. Everything was go, 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 faster, 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 constantly going. Health conscious, of course. And that's what everybody loved about him, that he was such an achiever and he really went for things. And, you know, that does, in a way, go towards his personality. And I think as you see him now, Gary Cole plays the part of him in the miniseries. He was an up-and-coming actor. You might recognize him when you see him, for some of us who are watching a lot of TV in the 70s and 80s. But he did a fantastic job, and not just in portraying little tics that Jeffrey had, but his personality and his facial expressions, he has it down, because we have a wonderful chronological filmography, basically, of Jeffrey MacDonald, because from the very minute this happened all the way through, we've got 50 years of film on him, whether it be interviews he was doing on the talk shows like Dick Cavett and Johnny Carson and things like that, right after the murders and during the trial, and afterwards as well. He's never been camera shy, right, Donnie?
Oh yeah, and another quick tidbit about his marriage to Colette before we begin. He met Colette in the 8th grade, so they were childhoods, like high school sweethearts. But they actually wound up breaking up before he went into college to Princeton. So he started dating other women. He was like, I'm not sure if he was engaged or if he was seriously seeing just one other woman. They broke up. And it seems like on the rebound, he reunited with Colette, and she actually wound up having an accidental pregnancy. So they got married right away. So this was sort of a shotgun wedding.
It was kind of, but being the fact that they had been together for so long, it's like one of those early sweetheart marriages.
Yeah.
And Colette was the type of woman, one of the gentlemen that gave an interview much later on, 20, 30 years later, would tell the story of, he definitely thought Jeff was guilty, and it spoke in his words. And he said he killed the woman that stayed with him through all of the hassle. She dealt with the army, the small apartments, the small on-base, BS you've got to deal with, the fact that he was an intern and a doctor, never there. And when he was off, he was playing basketball, at the gym. He was running. He was hanging with the guys. She was pretty much alone.
By herself.
Yes. Yes. And towards the end, she started to take child psychology classes, and that was great, 'cause she was going to the college. And the night of the murders, she actually had gone to class, and that was something that she was doing for herself. So she was trying to branch out too, but there's something to be said for a family unit like that. And I know you know, a lot of, Dylan especially, you understand, when you're in the military and you've got that, that partner. Woo! It's so much. It's definitely a team effort, is it not?
Oh, by far, yeah. I remember when I went active duty, and 3 months in, I got sent to Korea, and my wife's a new place, new city, new base, all by herself for almost a year.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of weight held on the spouses of military members. Yeah.
And both ways, because the person pulled away from the family is going through everything they're going through. It takes a special bond, that's for sure. Dylan and I have seen it from different vantage points, and we've seen our friends going through it. And I don't want to go any further tonight without saying it is Memorial Day weekend, and I want to remember those who have fallen, to give us the freedom so we can be here on this podcast talking about something like this. That we could have barbecues today, and we could go to work, we could get up, we could live in that freedom. So just a moment of silence, if you don't mind. I have some brothers I'd like to think of right now, and I'm sure have some names you'd like to run across your heart. So a moment of silence for the fallen. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. It's best that we don't forget them. Now, talking about the fallen, so many innocent, we are definitely not going to exploit this family, but I wanted to show you the beautiful faces that we are talking about tonight. This is a lovely mom, and keep in mind, she was pregnant about 5 months when this murder happened. And people tend to forget that these are people with lives. Look at them there in their wedding. Now, this is Colette with her stepfather, who you will meet in this. His name is Freddie, and he is one of my favorite characters involved in this situation. He is played by Carl Malden, and you will see him coming up soon. So, Donnie, did you have anything else before our first little vid here, so we can get an idea of what was this crime, what was going on? Anything you want to put in here first, honey?
You're muted.
You're muted.
I said, let's watch the video first, and then I'll say what I gotta say, because I'm kind of interested in seeing what happened. I never saw the video, so
I know, I'm
this is all
excited.
new for me as well.
This is such a different way to do this. This is something else. Oh, yeah. And then I'm just reading the chat here. Okay, chat. So I have to say this. I wrote the disclaimer real quick. Hang 1 second in the description that if, flashing lights bother you, please don't watch the video. Back out now. If little kids, there are things that are going to be described here. Again, this played on TV in the 80s. So it's that you can kind of average it that way. I'm sure it was parental guidance at the time. But go ahead, Donnie.
One quick thing that I wanted to point out that I thought was kind of beautiful. I was just looking at the chat and all the people who are familiar with this case, and half of them are saying, "Yeah, he did it," and the other half are saying, "No, he didn't do it."
Right.
So we got like discourse going on. We got a debate.
And that's perfect. Yeah.
It's nice to see how it comes out after all these videos.
Right?
Yeah.
It is so long ago, and like I said, the way we're going to try to do that, I'm thinking 3 episodes on this, because I really want to give it that room to breathe, and you guys talking back and forth, because this is the way it is. If we were on a jury, I often think of, what would I have done if I was on the jury in the OJ case, I would probably still be there. Nope, I ain't moving. Nope. Don't doubt me. But, it's not just, we're not trying to figure out, was the jury correct in this? Was the case correct in this? I want to just deal with the crime itself. Of course, we're going to go over those things, but what do you think? Does it make sense? And you're going to find out before tonight's over kind of where I'm sitting, and then it's your job, everybody that thinks that he's innocent, move me. Because I've been looking at this for 50 years, and I'm not stuck. I'm not unwilling to move. If I find some evidence that changes everything, we go the way that justice wind blows us, absolutely. But the way I'm sitting now, I think you're going to kind of know by the end of the thing. So let's go ahead and hit with the first one, and let's introduce you to what's really going on here with this case. And as usual, I hope this whole thing doesn't go off the rails and I get the right ones, but I think I got them lined up right tonight. Here we go, without further ado.
Medics, hurry.
Where?
Castle Drive, 544.
Is that on or off?
They're dying, for God's sake. Hurry.
Could you give me your name and hello? Hello, sir. Are you there?
medics to the ambulance. Hurry, I think I'm gonna die.
I have 544 Castle Drive, sir. Is that correct, sir? Hello? Hello, sir? Hello?
Sysco, you're muted.
Got it. I'm going to stop it right here for a second. Now, I want you guys to keep an eye on every single thing that happens here. Watch the hands of people that go into this place. I'm going to tell you up front that in 1970 at Fort Bragg, the CID, which stands for Crime Investigation Division, okay? Criminal Investigation Division of the Army. Think of how old these young men are that are here. They're between 19, 22, 23. This is going to be one of those cases where this doesn't happen often. They're not very well trained. You're going to see mistakes right out the gate. They're not wearing gloves. They're not wearing the foot booties. They're not, there's definitely way too many people tramping through here. However, ask yourself, does that change evidence that's there? It may mess up things. It might change things.
Adds too.
Yes. And also there is some criminality within the people that show up as well. There's a young man, he was an EMT, who steals Jeffrey's wallet off one of the side nightstands or going out the door, moves a flower pot, does other things. Keep those things in mind. I want you to watch how it's broken down.
Cisco, I just wanted to highlight one comment in the chat, if it's
Go
okay.
ahead,
I don't know how to
please.
highlight comments. I don't know if I could do
Go
that.
ahead, tell me where it is, honey.
AJK, he says,
Okay.
Yeah.
Captain MacDonald was moonlighting in an ER in town, and he discovered that they were hiding opium and dead soldiers. The satanic cult was part of it and murdered his family. And then he later says the dead soldiers were from Vietnam.
Okay.
Let's hold on to that nugget.
Yeah, I'm holding on to that. I have
Yeah.
heard that. However, I've also heard, and I don't deny that because that absolutely was going on. Absolutely was going on. And more than you know, more than you'd like to know. And there was many rumors and many things that happened and came out after. I've got 5 people that swear that the reason this happened was because he wouldn't give methadone to the addicts, and they were coming back for that reason. But let's kind of hold off on that and take
Let's
this and
hold off on
appeal
that.
it. Yeah, and not that it's not good information. It absolutely is. I absolutely want to hear all the evidence. But as it's unpeeling, we can kind of add all that stuff too, because we can better digest it. As right now, we don't even know who's dead yet. We don't know how this evidence matches up. Now, I will tell you this. I have only used clips that are really portraying it as it happened, and nobody has really said, okay, it wasn't like that, or that didn't happen. They tried to stay very close to the transcripts of what happened, it was sold in court, and that kind of, you know what I'm saying? This isn't a lot of the fancy stuff in here. Okay, here we go. Watch those hands, I'm telling you.
Oh, God.
He's alive.
Come on through, bring him through. Come on. Good. I just want that stuff back here.
Level. Bring it up a little bit. Bring it around. Okay. Ready? Okay, here we go. Okay, turn in there. Watch the front.
Center, we're ready to go. Let's keep out of there.
Okay, now you go out front of us. Lead the way.
Keep those beautiful cars out of here.
It's Captain Jeffrey MacDonald, Green Beret doctor, here on the base. That's his wife. Well, he said they were attacked by hippies, 4. 2 white guys, he said, and a black guy with an army field jacket and sergeant stripes. He said the woman was blonde, wearing a floppy hat and boots, and carrying a candle. The children are back here.
Keep your men posted outside until further notice. I'm gonna go talk to the neighbors. Don't let anyone touch a thing.
Skinner, outside.
My family. Where's my family?
Easy now.
My wife, my kids.
It's all right. They're going to be okay.
What do you mean they're going to be okay? Well, they're dead, aren't they? Yeah, it's Kenny. That's Colette. Do you need me anymore?
Not right now.
Oh.
You said you didn't hear any disturbance.
There's a possibility of a punctured lung. You better get me a chest X-ray.
I couldn't stop. No, I couldn't. I couldn't stop. I couldn't. Tell EMPs. Tell EMPs. I pulled the knife out of her chest to tell the CID.
I will.
Tell them. I threw it on the floor. Where are my kids? Now, where's my kids?
Take it easy, Jeff.
Where's my family?
Take it easy.
Where's my family now? Where are they? Why aren't they here? It's not.
Come on.
What? Why aren't they here?
Take it easy.
Where?
Lie back. That's good. That's it.
Where?
Hello?
This is Dr. Bronstein at Fort Bragg. Mrs. Kassab?
Yes, this is Mrs. Kassab.
I'm calling about your son-in-law, Captain MacDonald. He'd like you and your husband to come down here to the Womack Hospital as soon as possible.
Hospital? Is there anything wrong? Is he all right?
We've been trying to reach his mother. If you get a hold of her, would you please give her the same message?
Well, what is it? What's happened? Where's my daughter and the children?
Please, try to make it as soon as possible.
But I don't understand. Hello? Hello?
What's going on?
I don't know. I don't know.
Pajama top was found on top of her. What are all these blue threads doing underneath it?
Take a look at this. I think it might have been torn from the finger of a rubber glove. It's bloody.
He's going to be okay. There's no question. There's a puncture of his right lung. We've inserted a chest tube until it's healed. Go ahead. You can go in and see him now. He's in room 171.
Jeff? Ron, they clubbed me. I couldn't get to her. They clubbed me. It's okay. I know. It's okay. Bill, these blue pajama tops we found on top of Mrs. MacDonald's body?
Yeah?
Well, it's full of punctures. Dozens of tiny holes.
Ice pick?
Could be.
His wife was stabbed 16 times. One of the wounds put a hole through her major pulmonary artery, and that's what killed her.
I understand she was pregnant.
Yeah, male fetus, 4 to 5 months gestation. She also had 21 puncture wounds. Could have been made with an ice pick. Both of her arms were broken.
Probably tried to fight him off.
We found a blonde hair stuck to the palm of one of her hands. And a piece of what appears to be skin was found underneath one of her fingernails.
What about the children?
More the same. Never seen anything like it.
They're dead, Mom. All of them. Oh, God.
Well. Okay. This chat is hopping, man. It's, you can't really watch something like this without getting emotional and getting into it. And I love that you guys are throwing stuff back and forth. I want you to remember this. This is like the JFK trial.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not careful, you get in the corner of, I saw this person say this on a interview or documentary, or like you guys were saying, it's on TV, it must be true. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're going by the evidence. We're trying to get the feel And then we're going to go through, and you guys are going to go through, if you're interested, next week for next week's episode. What did you come up with? Evidence. Evidence. What was the evidence? What was the evidence that was not just allowed in court because it passed the due diligence, but not hearsay, because there's multiple people in this that said, I did this with this one, and then 10 years later, BS. Never happened. It was proved it would never happen. Then this person said this, proved 5 years, 20 years later, never happened. What was the evidence? The cold, hard evidence. They lost some. Obviously, some was tampered with. You saw the EMT steal wallet. Fact. It's not just because it's on TV. It was in the book. It was in the court case. It was proven. Proven.
No, he came forward and said he stole the wallet then? Okay.
And
Same with the flower pot?
Yes, not the same guy. It's often when it's spoken, it's shortened, and it says, it's almost said like the same EMT did it. No, two separate. There was two separate fools in there that were so young they didn't know what was going on. Guy sat on the couch. One of them picked up a magazine and started reading it, and it happened to be a magazine. It was an Esquire magazine, I believe, and it had the Manson murders in it. Big part of the evidence, big part of the case.
Wow, what a connection. Yeah.
Big part of the case. It had just happened in '69, just months before this. It was fresh on everybody's minds. So all of this we're going to look at, and everybody's information that you go and you gather, or you know now as a fact, not hearsay or something that was flipped and changed or thrown out because, is circumstantial or proven to be a lie. You've got drug addicts in this, Dylan. You're gonna meet that have no idea who what their names are. Half of them. You got somebody sits down and is going to be a witness for a case, and they said, well, I was on mescaline and I was on acid and I was smoking dope and I'd been up for days and I don't really know where I was, but yeah, if you say I was there, cool. And the next minute, the person goes, he doesn't even know who they're talking to. Again, not really going to be a great witness in a court of law.
The skewed memories, yeah.
Yes, and you're trying to wedge these square pegs in round holes, but of course you're trying to save a life and it's going to be one of those cases. And I do liken it a lot to the JFK because people get emotional in one corner. Mm-hmm. And what I want to do tonight or over the next couple episodes is just kind of open up and allow everything. And I have a friend who does a podcast, and I'll shut up and I want to hear what you guys got to say, that says something really cool. Take your coat off at the door. Mm-hmm. It's like you come in with these big coats.
Check it at the door.
Check it at the door and just take a look at it. I know it's a TV show. I know it's the 1980s. The sound is crappy. Somebody did it on the VCR. Hey, we get to watch this for free and look at it together. So let's do that, and then we'll bring all the solid evidence in, and we'll see how we feel after a couple episodes. What do you think, Dylan? First time seeing it.
I just wanted to ask at the beginning, I didn't really catch how he found his family. Did he wake up? He was stabbed and woke up from the pain.
Yeah, you're going to hear
that. Then he went
and
called the police.
Absolutely. Yes. So far, what we know, and I thought that would be a real cool way of doing this. So far, what do we know? As we go through this. So far, what we know is a young captain who's a doctor woke up to tragedy in his home, called. We saw that he made one phone call and basically got out his address. Right, and that he said that, I believe he said stabbing. She's trying to get everything out. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, because you guys, you and the listeners, gatekeepers, everybody, we got to help each other through this, and at the end we're going to see where we are. So he basically does that. Then he walks through, comes down the hall. He's not wearing a shirt. We don't know why yet. He's not wearing a shirt. He makes another phone call, looks to be from the kitchen. He doesn't appear to me to be wearing any gloves. Now, this is, again, I know it's a TV show, but these scenes, and some of them basically are off of recordings. The family made a lot of recordings. People didn't trust each other. Freddie recorded every phone call after a certain point. So we have all of this in transcript. This happened, and it really does stick really well with the evidence. Of course they're going to poetic license and over dramatize or squeeze things together for the
it's
art.
TV.
That's exactly it. But the evidence is pretty darn true in this. And then we add on what we've learned over the next 30 years. So
And there's a lot of documentation on this
so
case.
much,
A
so
lot.
much,
A
so
lot.
much.
Yeah.
Now we
So,
talked
go
about
ahead.
the flower pot, the wallet. I saw pig spray painted or wrote somewhere.
That was, yes.
That was on the headboard of the master bedroom on the bed headboard. Yeah, it had been written in Colette's blood. They later found out it was her blood.
Okay.
Donnie, make sure you don't tell anything about any of that, blood or evidence.
Anything beyond that video.
But on what we've seen, we're going to peel it together, but because I know he knows a little bit about that, but yes, 100% correct. And we'll find other things that happen around that, but that, to my knowledge, was the only written thing on the wall. Very similar to, of course, the Helter Skelter.
Yeah, that's what I was getting
wrote,
at. Did they write pig or did they write Helter Skelter? I don't remember.
They wrote pig.
On the door. They wrote it on the front door, right?
In Helter Skelter, I believe in the La Bianca, the Folgers, also with Sharon Tate. There was stuff written on the walls, and refrigerator, I believe in something else. Maybe the floor. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong.
She was pregnant too, right?
Yes. Sharon Tate absolutely was.
Piggy and
Yes.
Helter Skelter. Okay.
Piggy, Helter Skelter. There was something else too. I think Kill the Pigs or something like that too.
So like Death to Pigs? Yeah.
Yes, and it was based, of course, on the Beatles' song "Helter Skelter," and that was all. They were drug in and out. It was a whole great big shindig. The whole Charles Manson, the trials, the whole Nazi sticker on the forehead, the crazy eyes, the crazy
my
stuff.
God, yeah.
All that stuff, man. It
And
was
you have
all,
to-
which ties into Laurel Canyon and everything else. So we did with Steve and everything. This is all kind of. But the thing is, the table, now I will show you the crime scene photos. I didn't pull a lot of them up tonight because, again, I'm trying to respect this, because in light of recent events and everything else, I'm not going to exploit these kids. I'm not, and this poor woman. Oh my God. I'm letting the TV show do it because I figured if they could show it in the 80s, we can handle it now. Because they were a lot more careful now. Now they'll blow zombie heads off all day long. So, forgive me of that. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
At the end, he's what's that? His wife's parents and his mother that come in when he's in the hospital.
His mom, that was the lady that went to him. His brother was the one that was hugging him. He is a character throughout this, although not very, just a supportive character through most of it. The parents, the older man, it's her parents.
Yep.
And Freddie, who is the older man, turns out to be a very viable character throughout this whole thing. One of my favorites.
What were they showing on his hand?
He had cuts. I'm going to let them tell you about his stuff because I don't want to misquote. But that will be revealed.
They might have been defense wounds or something.
Quite possibly.
From either party.
Mm-hmm. And to me, and Blue, I absolutely agree. Everything you've said so far that I've caught in the chat from during the whole vid. There are things that are moved and changed, and of course TV. I get it. I've written books. I get it. So the thing is this: the evidence doesn't change. That's what I hold on to, and I know you do too. Once you get evidence, if evidence is telling me this, and this, and I got 50 people standing there telling me this, and they're showing me all these things and flashy lights and fireworks, and I'm still looking at the evidence going, no, I've been married twice. I raised boys. I've seen, I look at the evidence. You know, I've heard some pretty good con artists try to tell me that I'm not looking at what I'm looking at, and I know I'm looking at what I'm looking at, you know, unless I'm wrong. And that's what we're all here for tonight, you know, to kind of guide us through on this journey, this criminal journey here. So go ahead, Donnie, what do you think about the last, just what we saw in the vid? You're muted, baby. There we go.
It's my turn to always be muting myself. Yeah, this case is confusing because as I was doing research for this, my mind kept switching back and forth, like who I thought did it, and you know, I'll read one thing and I'll be like, oh no, this person did it, and then I'll read another thing and I'll just completely change my mind. And this case is a real noodle twister, especially when you get into the legal proceedings.
Yeah, you're gonna get your noodle twisted. Yeah, you're gonna get your noodle twisted. That's for sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Uncommon Belief. Yes, I would like to just take this moment, if you don't mind. I forgot to do this in the very beginning. There's so much going on. Thank you kindly for dropping. Be Kind and an anonymous donor sent into my generous. Absolutely generous gift to the show via my PayPal. Thanks, Uncommon Belief, for dropping that. I appreciate it. It does help to, you know, spend the time to look this stuff up, make videos, and do the shows. And, you know, I always hate it when people say that because it sounds like it's such a labor. You know, it's a labor of love for us and anybody that does podcasts. We do it because we love it. And we love it when you like it and you say you like it and we, you know, put a smile on your face and stuff. But it does help, and I promise you, yes, it is absolutely going to Gettysburg. So I will be going to Gettysburg in August for Gettysburg Bash, and I hope you guys anybody that can go can join me. It's going to be great, and I'm going because of an anonymous fan, and I thank you very, very kindly. And everybody who gives to the show, it goes to the show, and we appreciate it. Everybody appreciates when you guys throw a tip in the tip jar, because that says that you like what we do, right, guys? So thank you.
Oh yeah.
So again,
now I see a lot of stuff about Manson. I just wanted to.
Go ahead, hit on that.
I just had this sitting on my shelf right here.
Wow. Yeah, there's so much there. You know, I do believe that he was kind of an MK Ultra thing, and that's like a whole nother show. And you know, it would be a great thing to do that after. Yeah, we can jump into that after this. And what we're trying to do is kind of train everybody just to like work with what the information that you have. I've made sure that what I'm showing you, the clips, this is a 4-hour, almost 5-hour miniseries. The clips I'm showing you matches up to the evidence. If I miss one small thing, I'm trying to remember to tell you in and out, like the wallet, you know, and the guy who flipped the pot was definitely an EMT that stole the wallet. It was definitely an EMT because they had to stand back and wait till CID was done, till the military was done. You know, it helped where they were told. So they were killing time sitting in the chairs, sitting on the couches, messing with evidence. It was definitely 100% not a clean crime scene. That doesn't mean that some of this evidence is not solid, and that's what I want you to look for. Does that make sense? Okay. So you guys ready for the next one, or you got something else?
I'll be back. I'm going to be watching on my phone though. I got to attend to my posts.
All right, sweetie.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Go right ahead.
But I'll
as long
be
as
watching.
you can hear. Can you hear too? You're good.
Yes, I got.
All right, cool. Okay, Dylan, you ready?
Yep.
This one is called Jeff's account. Now, Jeff gets called in. I'm sparing you so much of the stuff going through all these things and the position that the bodies were in and the harm that came to them and the absolute overkill on these babies. You know, I allowed some of it throughout this. The most is coming toward the end of the show, and I will warn you one more time in case, because I know kids come in and they curl up next to us and stuff, and there's some stuff they just shouldn't hear, especially they got enough in the real world. So I'm going to try to remember to do that. But this one is his account. I want you to watch Gary Cole, the actor here, portraying all the hours and hours and hours. Again, I get what you guys are putting down, Ian, Glenn, Blue, AJK. I'm totally right there with you. Everything you're saying, I've said to myself, you know, listen to these guys, their documentaries, deathbed confessions, documentaries, letters, journals. You know, I'm by no way an expert on this, but like I said, 50 years in and out. And this is the only real crime show other than Marilyn and JFK and Dorothy Kilgallen that I really sunk my teeth into. And I'm trying to present it this way so you guys might see something different. So that's why I said take your coat off, put it on the hook. It'll be there for you when at the end of the episode. But if you look at it that way, fresh, and you get all that fresh air, and we're kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, we might find something different, because 50 years, guys, it's like Bigfoot, for the love of God. We can't figure this out, you know? So here we go. This next one is Jeff's account. This is his vantage point. And I'm going to go ahead and debunk all of the people that are going to tell me he's never changed his story. I'm sorry, that's not true. I have personally heard out of his mouth visual and two visual as well as audible, and one on audio where he did change his story. The very beginning of it, I was sitting on the couch. Colette and I were sitting on the couch watching TV. Colette and I were sitting on the couch listening to a record. That is a definite difference. You were either listening to a record or you were watching TV. I know the man just lost his whole family, but you kind of go, in most cases, Dylan, methodical. Because you're past the shock, you're past the point, now you're just answering questions. And you're either telling the truth or you're not, or you're repeating your own, whatever it is, your mantra. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So here we go. This is his account when he gets called in for the first time to be questioned by the Army.
Wake up!
Memories.
Excuse me. Can you tell me where I can find Mr. Griffin?
Oh, yeah. At the end of the hall upstairs.
Excuse me, Mr. Griffin?
Oh, Captain, come in. Thanks for dropping by. Please, sit down.
I'd like to talk to you about getting my furniture out of the Castle Drive apartment. It's sealed up, as you know, and I've already found another.
I'd like to introduce the two men who are conducting the investigation for the crime. This is Bill Ivory.
Right there. Right there. That's true. That is from the transcript. I've read it. He actually wants his furniture back. It's the first thing out of his mouth. Put that in your pocket. What do you think, Dylan? Would that be the first thing on your mind?
No, that's a weird request right there. Yeah.
Being called into the carpet. Now, here's where our military comes in. You're getting called into the carpet. He's acting all, bebopping in. He's confident. He's walking. He doesn't. Something ain't right, man. And this is how he was.
This is right after.
Yeah. Being called onto the carpet in the situation he's in right now. This is not your typical building. Ask Dylan. This is not your typical military. As you're walking in here, this isn't, you see civilians
there's no black mold.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, he's walking into the CID. This is big stuff. And he's walking in there like he's got this thing in his back pocket either way. Come on, man. You just buried a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, your unborn child, and the wife who stuck through you all through this tight, supposedly, loving relationship. This ain't right. That's what I'm seeing. What do you see? It's up to you. You decide. Just saying.
Robert Shaw. Coffee?
No, thanks.
Captain, you were inducted into the Army when?
Last July.
Uh-huh. That's 9 months. You're a group surgeon for the Special Forces?
Yes, I'm afraid I don't quite understand.
We just want to get the whole story, Captain. Everything you remember.
Oh. Okay.
Before we start, I have to advise you of your rights.
That sounds very ominous.
You do have the right to remain absolutely silent. You don't have to answer any questions.
I'm ready.
All right. You can stop at any time. Would you like advice of counsel?
No.
Then tell us your story, Captain.
Let's see. Monday night, my wife went to bed, and I was reading, and I must have gone to bed about 2 o'clock. My little girl, Christy, had gone into bed with my wife. She'd wet the bed on my side, so I brought her in her own room. I don't remember if I changed her or not.
Show of bacon. How many parents do we have in the chat? Show of bacon. Show of hands. Show of hearts. How many parents? 5-year-old girl wet in the bed. What does that tell you? Think? Right, Dylan?
Yeah.
There's something going on in that house, man. No, I'm kidding. Not kidding. You know, I'm
Well,
no child psychologist, but
What got me is he couldn't remember if he changed her or not. Is that what he said?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And she wet his bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his side of the bed.
Yeah, she was laying with the mom, which also tells me she's really used to doing that. He's not home much. I mean, that's just, you know, that doesn't make him a guilty man. No way. You know, I'm just saying, yeah, look at the bacon. Look at, yep. 5-year-old girl. Boys are the norm on this. You know, no offense. I mean, it's just, you know, the way it is. A little harder to potty train, a little longer. Girls are usually a little faster. And it's usually boys. I think about all the times you've heard of that. And it's usually not as psychological. I mean, it does have to do with child abuse or arguing in the home, parents divorce, change like that in the family, can do it for a short. Again, no expert. I'm just a mom, you know, and that alerted me, and I didn't know if you guys caught that in the chat. You know, I wouldn't go as far. Yes, it could be molestation, but again, it doesn't even have to be that much. I mean, that's so much. It could just be mom and dad's arguing, you know, get picked on at school. I mean, she's 5, you know, she's preschool probably. You know, again, I'm just spitballing, but I thought it was a red flag, a little one anyway, right? What do you guys think? Think about it. Put it in your pocket.
I gave her a bottle and went out to the couch because my side of the bed was wet. And I went to sleep on the couch. The next thing I know, I heard some screaming. I saw some people at the foot of the bed. I don't know if I heard the girl first or I think I saw her first. I don't know if it was a flashlight or a candle, but it looked to me like she was holding something. My instinctive thought was that she's holding a candle. What the hell is she holding a candle for?
Kill the pig.
And this guy started walking down between the coffee table and the couch. something over his head. I just got a glance of this girl with a kind of light on her face.
Kill the pig.
I remember thinking to myself, see, I work out with the boxing glove sometimes. Geez, that guy throws a hell of a punch. I got this terrific pain in my chest.
Kill the pig.
I was still halfway on the couch and half off. And I saw, a blade. I didn't know what it was. I just saw something that looked like a blade at the time. I saw some legs, not covered like I saw the top of some boots. And the next thing I remember, I was lying in the hallway, at the end of the hallway floor, and I was freezing cold, and it was very quiet. I was dizzy, I wasn't really real alert. My teeth were chattering, and I went down and to the bedroom. My wife was lying on the floor next to the bed, and there was a knife in her upper chest. I pulled it out. I tried to give her artificial respiration, but the air was coming out of her chest. They were, had a lot of, there's a lot of blood. I remember that I was finding it hard to breathe, and I felt dizzy. In any case, when I went back to check my wife, I then went back and checked my kids. And I checked for pulses and stuff. But I had all this, blood on my hands.
Where did this man strike you first? On the head?
Right. I was just sitting. I was just sitting in bed, and there wasn't a lot of shouting or anything. I mean, she wasn't jumping up and down saying "kill him." I mean, there wasn't any. The point was that it seemed, when it's like in when you see Easy Rider. I made the mistake of going to see that film. They have all these stop action things, and that's what it seemed like to me.
Captain MacDonald, you told one of our investigators earlier that you were wearing a pajama top and it got pulled over your head or something?
Right. Well, all I know now is that I'm struggling now. And after the first time I was hit.
Pay very close attention to this part. This again is darn close to the transcript. There's a couple of am-uns, Mr. Captain MacDonald, but it is very. I've looked at it. Now, I absolutely tell you guys this week, go out and research, pull up what you can find on this, and come back and add to it. But again, pay very close attention to this part. It's going to be critical in the trial and critical in many of the appeal discovery and everything else that comes out in this. Okay, so pay attention. Here we go.
I remember struggling with these guys, and my pajama top. I don't know if it was ripped forward or it was pulled over my head. I don't think it was pulled over my head because I don't remember actually like backing my head through it. But all of a sudden it's around my hands, and I remember it was in my way, And my hands were just sort of, kind of, just wrapped up in the thing. And I remember when I woke up, when I ended up laying on the floor, I forgot to say that. When I woke up, my hands, they were still wrapped up in the thing and everything. And I took it off as I went into the bedroom. At the hospital, when they were looking me over, and there was all these little puncture wounds all over my abdomen, and I guess we came up with 14 or something like that, and a cut here.
Was this from these assailants, these people that were in the house?
Well, I assume so.
You didn't do it yourself, did you?
No. Well, and then they said to me, well, we'll have to go get an X-ray. Now, when your chest is bubbling, you have a pneumothorax, and any special forces medic knows that, and any nurse knows that.
Okay. We have 3 people here, overkilled almost, and yet they leave you alive.
Well, maybe they assumed that I was dead.
If we can drift back a little bit. You say in the initial assault there was screaming. Was it screaming, or were there...
What, words?
Like what?
Well, I remember hearing my wife saying, "Jeff, why are they doing this to me?"
This is while you're still on the couch.
Right. I heard some screaming, and then I heard Christy, but Kimmy, the older girl, saying, "Daddy," "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy." There's something I can't figure out. I've gone over this 100 times in my own mind. There's so many unanswered questions.
You woke up, Captain MacDonald, and you saw 4 people. And at the same time, you heard your wife somewhere.
Right.
And you heard your daughter, right? So there must have been 2 more people at least.
Well, I don't understand. If they came in through the open back door, and by the time they got to me, I still heard screaming, or were there more people involved than 4?
6. Minimum 6.
I know.
In a house your size, that's a lot of people.
I know.
There should be...
I know.
There should be busted furniture, broken mirrors, a bastion wall.
Oh, well, you people have more experience than I do, but I wouldn't necessarily expect that.
Don't read anything into this, but if it comes to this, you willing to take a polygraph in reference to what we've talked about here this morning?
Sure, absolutely.
Realize you don't have to.
Sure, that's fine with me.
You're a very well-educated man, Doctor, Captain, and I'm going to be fair with you. Your story doesn't ring true. I've been in the Army for 19 years, and I've studied a lot of crime scenes, and there's something wrong with this one. I've seen all-night poker parties that cause more damage to a room. For instance, do you see anything odd about that photograph?
No.
That's what I first saw when I went into the house that morning. Notice the flower pot.
Standing.
Uh-huh. Now notice the magazines and the edge of that table.
I don't understand the significance of that.
Well, Ivory and Shaw and myself all tipped that table over. It went all the way. It never landed on its edge like that. It's top-heavy.
Well, couldn't the table have been pushed around during the struggle?
Well, sure, it could have, but it would have been upside down when it stopped.
Well, what are you trying to say?
This was a staged scene.
You mean I staged the scene?
I think so.
You think I'd stand up the pot if I staged the scene?
Somebody stood the pot up.
What you're telling me is that you're sitting there telling me that I killed my wife and kids. That's unbelievable. For God's sake, what motive do I have? Why would I do that for?
think we could conjecture several reasons, perhaps.
You don't think that I was happily married?
Well, I'm happily married, Captain, and I get pretty mad at my wife sometimes. Especially when I was younger and quicker to anger.
You think I get mad enough at someone to do that?
I've seen it happen before.
Well, I'll tell you what it looks like to me. It looks like that you've run out of things and you pick someone, the easiest one. That's what it looks like to me. You've got to get it solved before the fiscal year ends so that when you put the report in, you have a 100% solve rate.
Man.
Oh, man, it's getting good, right? This is what I'm saying. I love how you all are talking in here. You keep that up, keep it up, keep it. Ian, I'm right there with you, man. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Everybody keep going. This is good. What do you think?
So all the way back, I was
Go
just going to say all the way back to the beginning, he comes in, he asks, about his furniture. I think it was AJK dropped the comment, everybody grieves differently. So,
True.
I can kind of see that point of view. True. He's trying to deflect the situation. He's trying to have a strong front or whatever, I'm sure it's tearing him apart, but I can see that.
You have to understand, soldier, you take that for granted because you are one, but everybody else seeing that, I want you to understand that you just go soldier. And what we mean by that, it's like methodical. It's the same as Native American, many cultures, martial arts, whatever. You just go to your shadow person and you just state forward and do it. But that's also, is it not, a trait of a psychopath?
Oh,
right
sure.
in front of you.
Sure.
Keep going. Keep going. Yep, go ahead.
I kind of wish I didn't have this idea of, drug dealings and stuff in my head already, because that's kind of skewing my view. Because when I sit there and I listen to him talk, I know his story doesn't add up, because he's, his daughter wet the bed. He couldn't remember if he changed her or not. He left his side of the bed soaked with, piss while his wife slept in there. So, why don't you get up and change that? He goes out to the couch. He's laying down with this top on, which he later goes into why that was removed. But he's sitting there, and he said he sees them at the foot of his bed. So then from there on, he goes back and forth between, bed and couch, bed and couch. And like the whole time, it feels like he's building a story to cover up what actually happened. I don't know if he's involved in the murders yet, or if he's covering it up to cover up a bigger case. Maybe he's deeper into the drug trade. I wish I didn't know that, because that's where my mind's going. But if he's deeper into that, then he's trying to cover up a bigger crime. But it's showing he has no regard for his family right here, But then he jumps into, maybe they came in through the back door. So it's like he knows something happened. So
Absolutely.
Is it common for him to leave the back door unlocked?
Good question. Don't know. Good question.
Then
what I
in the
know
comments, they're talking about the houses, the military houses being close together too.
Right up against, these are, think duplexes, they're quads. This
the
one I
quadplexes
believe
or whatever.
like I believe Fort Bragg is. Now, a bit about Fort Bragg. It's an open base. Now, open base, there was no question whatsoever. They made no bones about it. You have to understand, there was a huge hippie culture. The time was 1970. Some of the clothes you're going to hear about, not uncommon. Some of the things, that you might hear, that if today somebody said, hey, there's somebody driving a VW bus with, all psychedelic colors on it, it would stand out in the 1972, for sure still, but not as much as now. So you're going to hear stuff like that was common. It was common for hippies come back and forth. They were buying stuff at the PX. They were, they were hanging out there. Absolutely, everybody was involved in the drug culture. It was the 70s, for Christ's sake.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody was involved. They were shipping drugs in the bodies. He was involved. He had a side job. This guy was not only This is for sure. This is not conjecture. This is not hyperbole. It's nothing. It's not my opinion. This is just a stated fact. This guy was narcissistic. Made no bones about it. Had a beautiful wife. She was a trophy wife to him. Yes, it was a shotgun wedding, but they were sweethearts. She was easy flow. She was all about you, Jeff. You go, Jeff. I'm so proud of you, Jeff.
Yeah.
I want you to
Supported his ego.
Absolutely. And he was gone. He had that flow where he could come and go as he pleased. He could go and date who he wanted to. A lot of one night stands. The cops come out at one point in this. I don't think it's in any of the videos, but it's definitely in the first part of this, around this time frame that we are still in, where they're showing him pictures. Yup, dated her. It didn't mean anything. Yup, we had dinner. We didn't. And he actually at one point said, but we didn't have intercourse. It meant nothing. He's saying these things. These are in transcripts again. You know, I'm just presenting what's in transcripts, what's in documents and things throughout this. And I will say it throughout this show and through the series. If you find something that counteracts that, that's got provenance, it's got proof, and it's been shown, not just hearsay. You're going to hear a lot about evidence that got lost and then people assume what that is. That's not evidence. It's evidence that could have been something, we don't know what it is, and it's lost and we'll never know. You know, I don't even know if it was lost on purpose. I'm not seeing a lot of fingers pointing that people did things on purpose, like, say, i.e. the OJ trial, where, you know, Ferguson was a racist and he had a past and he may have planted evidence. There's nothing like that in this case. This is what we found. We lost some of it. We had some jerks that messed with things and touched things that they shouldn't have. However, those omitted from the crime scene, there is a mountain of evidence that stands alone. So let's try to focus there. And again, watch Gary Cole, the actor, how he portrays this body language. There's nothing micro-expression about this guy. You don't have to go full liar with Tim Roth on this dude, you know. He's all right there on the sleeve. He's got all his crazy right on his front porch. And makes no bones about it, and can't understand why people... Of course I went to work. Of course I did this. I'm a doctor. I'm a surgeon. You know, you expect nothing less. You have to understand this about this guy. And he's like that to this day. Okay? Donnie.
This case took place at a very weird place at a very weird time, if you really think about it. Because I don't know if there's anyone in the chat who's actually been to Fort Bragg or to Fayetteville, North Carolina. I've been to Fayetteville, never been in the base though, but you got that location where you got this kind of crazy town. Fayetteville is a bit of a crazy town, and it all blends in with the base. Right at like 69, 70, when the Manson murders were front page news, right? During the whole cultural revolution, and then you've got military, police, and investigations getting involved, right? You said earlier these were soldiers and not trained or not seasoned law enforcement or detectives or anything, right? These were soldiers. I don't know how different law enforcement is in the military because I have no experience with it. I don't know if it's...
It depends on the base. I mean, you're definitely going to have SOP. You're going to have your standard operational procedure and all the MOSs. Of course, as Blue said earlier and somebody else said in here, this is also 1970s Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
We have to keep understanding that. You know, the stuff that these guys didn't go in with booties and gloves, you know, and one at a time, trying not to step on evidence. These are kids in ponchos on a rainy night that got a call from dispatch that said that there's a domestic disturbance.
Yep.
Lights are off. It's approximately 3 o'clock in the morning, and they've practiced and read books and gone through drills and everything else. And now it's 4 young kids showing up, and they don't know what they're walking into. They find the back door. They tried to get into the front. And this is all in the reports. They tried to get into the front. One of them went around, hey, come on. You know, they go around the back. They got their flashlights, and they're in, you know, standard squad formation. You know, you're a forward observer, and everybody else is just following through. And the one guy sees, hey, somebody's this way. They go in through the back and they go into the hallway, and they find Jeffrey MacDonald laying next to his wife, one arm across her stomach. Can you imagine? You know, no matter what you think about the guy, guilty or no, this is a scene that no one should have to witness. Mm-hmm. These are young, you know, soldiers, yes, going in there, but, you know, they went to AIT. They're, you know, it's Fort Bragg. It's a lax base, you know. They're not in Vietnam. They probably haven't been because of the MOS. Go ahead.
Ian mentioned something that I wasn't like, because I don't know this aspect at all. CID are federal agents, not soldiers. Is that true?
I don't think so, because it's you can apply within the military police corps to be a CID agent.
Okay.
I don't know if you have to be degreed, if you have to have a degree in criminal justice, or if it's time and service.
Or specialist, yeah. Or
it's like a special assignment.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's Fort Bragg and it's an open base. So what would go now? I mean, my MOS was 64 Charlie when I was in. That's transportation, and that puts a visual in your mind that it must be like this. It's nothing like you think, because although I was trained to drive Jeeps and I drove the General. Semi-tractor trailers, and I drove big green ugly ass buses, and anything else they put my butt in, but you could bet it was OD green. You know, even the stuff that I was a VIP driver as well, and I drove, you know, a lot of VIPs around. It changed every day. You know, it's not what you think. And when you look at him and you think he was a Green Beret, you know, he was a tough dude. He's done this, and he's airborne, and he's, you know, and he's combat commando, and he, you know, tough guy. No, he's 9 months. 9 months. He's a captain. He got there because he had college. Donnie, where did he go?
He went to Princeton, and then he went to Northwestern.
I was going to say Princeton, but I didn't want to get it wrong. And he was 9 months in the Army. This is not, you know, I know airborne rangers, you know, tough dudes. I mean, I'm looking at Dylan when the first time he sees this this thing here, and he's listening to what Jeffrey MacDonald says happened, and I'm thinking, hell no. I mean, I don't care who you are. You're gonna you're a freaking soldier. You hear your child and your wife screaming for you, and I know they hit him in the back of the head, but I think the adrenaline alone puts you through the roof. That's how I'm thinking, Dylan. Is that crossing your mind as well when you heard that? I mean,
oh, definitely. I don't think I would just lay there. I don't.
Common sense. I mean, halfway down the hall, maybe before your own father. Intestinal fortitude propel you that far alone, like moms who lift cars off of kids. I mean, adrenaline, you know? I just can't imagine it was just... And he's not saying all four of them jumped him at the same time. Now, this brings in the whole hippie thing. Dylan, do you want to, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, Donnie, do you want to tell a little bit about that, did you look into what was going on around the base at the time, the hippie scene and all that?
Well, there were a lot of people who were very, very deep into acid and mescaline. Mm-hmm. Even though Fort Bragg was outside of Fayetteville, inside of Fayetteville, there were people who were whacked out of their minds.
And I'm sure it's still like that.
Yeah, and and they called it Vietnam. They called it Vietnam. My second husband was, I gotta sound like, you know, a madam somebody when I say stuff like that. I mean, I only had two, but I know that's a lot to somebody, some people, but, you know, it just sounds funny when I say it like, but anyway, I hate to use names because I don't really want either one of them to know which one I'm talking about. You know what I mean? That's because it's my out. But anyway, he was his dad was a first sergeant, and he was stationed at Bragg. And he told me, when he told me that that house was still boarded up, I mean, I got chills. And I'm thinking, gosh, it's how many years? And I mean, I do not have it confirmed whether I've heard it's been torn down, and I've heard it's still boarded up to this day. I've heard both. I have not looked into that. I admit it. I don't know. But if somebody in the chat knows for sure and has sauce on that, not because that's what I want to get away from. The rumors and the innuendos and the I thinks. I just want to try to find the facts in this that stood, that multiple court cases, which we're going to get into next week, right? Next episode, right, Donnie?
Yeah. For those of you in the chat who are not totally familiar with this case, and if you've already made up your mind, either way, there's going to be details that kind of challenge that, and then back and forth.
Yep, back and forth.
This is that kind of case.
I'm going to admit it right out the gate. There's no way I can hide how I feel. I apologize straight out the gate. Your job is to prove me wrong with science or show me something that changed my mind. You know what I mean? That's all. I mean, I'm just being honest. Because I flip-flop so many times, like Donnie said, because I heard this, I heard that. Like JFK, we've all done it. Oh, there's a piece. Whoa, you know. We've all sat back and thought. And every author that writes a book, I've talked to Mark Shaw about this. Now, Mark Shaw is Mark Shaw knows what he's doing. He's been a consultant for multiple news programs. He's written, like 30, 50 books. I don't even know. Every one more brilliant than the next. I mean, he knows his stuff. And it's just... the thing about JFK is everybody picks one person and focuses on that, and it's very much like the paranormal. They focus right there, exactly. And they don't think that anything else is connected.
They don't think it exists outside of that narrative. Yeah,
so true. It's like people send me messages here, it blocks everything. It's that. It's like it's Johnson. It's this. It's Nick. Whatever, or it's the mob. And they don't step back away from realize it's all connected. It's all true. It's all a little piece of the truth, and it all connects together if you open your mind. And that's this case as well. And, but keep throwing all that stuff in there. But again, you might want to think about something you heard. Did you hear it in a podcast? Was it somebody's thought, their idea, their opinion? Or was it a fact? And, there's one very important piece of evidence here. I won't throw it out yet, but it was absolutely not true, and then somebody threw it out 20 years after the fact, and now everybody thinks it's part of the evidence, and it's not. And it's not, and that's what I want to get away from on this case. Okay, guys, you guys ready for the next one? The next one is this gentleman right here. I'm sorry, darling. Donnie, were you done with what you wanted to say? Move on to the next? Okay.
Just that for those of you who've made up your minds, this case hasn't even started to get complicated yet.
No, just hang on. And that's why we have to do this in sections, because look how far we are. I mean, we're just not even into the...
We're just dipping our toes in it.
Right. So, but we want to get what you guys think too, because it's so important. We're all doing this together, and it's, and again, if it's something that interests you and gets you out of the garbage going on today, and you want to look at some stuff from way back, you might even want to think about it. It's like, how can we solve the stuff that's going on now? If we can't even handle something happened 50 years ago, we've got evidence, but we've let thoughts and feelings and emotions and lies and charisma and so many other things sway our common sense and our our perception and our intuition on what's really true. So this is just, us giving it another shot here. Okay, so this gentleman here, Donnie, do you have anything on Mr. Freddie here? I just love him, and I know you had a couple of notes on the father-in-law, but this is Colette's father-in-law, and he's one of my favorite characters in this whole thing. This man has the intestinal fortitude of... you think it's not even his real daughter, but if it wasn't for him, this man personally, and you'll hear more about this later, but hand walked letters to every member of Congress to prove something that he wanted to say. He needed justice, and he's the epitome of you can't say one person can't make a difference. So if nothing else, through all this evil you're going to hear coming up over the next couple of episodes, think about that. Good always comes from bad sometimes. Okay. Do you have anything on him, Donnie?
I don't know if what I want to say is what I should say now or
Okay.
later. Yeah.
Well, let's watch the next video, and then
Yeah.
you can just let it rip
Yeah.
after. Okay, let's hit it. Oop, sorry. Wait. Oops, sorry, wrong one. We don't want any blood yet. Hold on. That's coming. Blood's coming, though. I'm sorry. I messed it up. Here we go. And take two.
Just now with some. He's definitely going out to California. He has a job at an excellent hospital, emergency room work, sort of start a whole new life.
Sit down, Mildred.
I've got the dishes.
Please, sit down for a moment. Now, just listen to me for a moment. Page 25 of the transcript. Jeff heard Colette scream. Help, Jeff. Why are they doing this to me? In the first place, they were attacking Jeff in the living room. Who was she talking to in the bedroom? And not only that, how could she talk at all? She had severe stab wounds and her trachea was cut.
Well, there must be some explanation.
Wait, just a minute, let me go on. Page 29. Jeff said he was knocked back on the couch and felt like he was blacking out. Then why didn't they finish him off? They killed everybody else. Why was he spared? He ended up with nothing but a scrape on the forehead.
Freddie, you're not saying...
Page 26. Jeff heard Kimmy screaming, "Daddy. Daddy?" She was crying Daddy with her skull crushed.
Freddie. Freddie.
Now, mind you, with all the blood that was in the bedrooms, they could hardly find one drop of blood on the living room floor. And that's where he was fighting them off, in the living room. Now, why? Why? I ask you, why? He said he washed dishes that night. He claims that he wore rubber gloves to wash dishes that night. Mildred, you and I both know we never saw him wash a dish in our lives. With or without rubber gloves. He used a kitchen phone to call for help. There was no blood on that phone. His fingerprints weren't on it.
Freddie, I don't want to hear this.
Oh, dear God, neither do I. Oh. I could go on and on and on. You know, I've got a list here of 123 statements which I know are false, or at least impossible to believe. I tell you, Mildred, his testimony just doesn't make sense. There's something wrong, something terribly wrong. Mildred, we've lost everything we've had. We had a family. And now, I'm telling you that if Jeff MacDonald did it, I will never rest until I see justice done. Never. Never.
Last call.
Okay.
Now, I want to tell you something real quick here. What Freddie, now again, this is Carl Malden playing Freddie, the father-in-law of Jeff and Colette's stepdad. And he is so kind to her mom, and as you see here, very well portrayed. That's how they were. She was a frail bird, like they described her. And she kind of went along. And at the very end, you're not going to see that, but I wanted to tell you, when he thought she was going to give up, she says, "You go get him." And he said, "I love you so much." And he took off. And he hand walked letters, like I said, to Congress. He did not give up. This same man sat at the military hearing and said that he would not pick a different son-in-law if he had another daughter. He'd want the same one. He was on Jeff's side. They were behind Jeff 100%. They wouldn't, the military and Jeff wouldn't give them any information about what was going on, and they were behind him 100%. And he begged him for the transcript. He had to beg him to get that transcript. And he finally got it. When he got it, he sat down with coffee and a pack of cigarettes, and he didn't get up for, I think, like 6 months.
Wow.
He kept reading it and reading it and reading it. People would go visit him and try to get him to stop. And he's like, there's something wrong. And that's what you just saw. That's what you just saw.
That thing was like 2,000 pages, too. So Alfred Kassab, Colette's stepfather, the thing you got to know about him is, like Sysco mentioned, at the beginning of the investigation and when the accusations came out about Jeffrey, Alfred Kassab was Jeffrey's #1 advocate, like in terms of character witness.
Yes.
Because in his mentality was, my son-in-law is being unfairly portrayed and unfairly accused, and the more people accuse him, the less likely we're going to put the actual murderers to justice. So he was gung-ho in defending Jeffrey MacDonald's honor and innocence. And it actually wasn't until believe after the initial trial when Alfred was starting to experience doubts. And that's when he started asking for the transcripts. And the story of how he got the transcripts is a story in and of itself, because that guy had to leap through so many hoops.
True.
Yeah.
So true. Dylan, what you got?
No, I just would like to think that everyone would do the same thing that he did to find the truth about what really happened.
Absolutely.
I think he went great measures to, get the truth out there.
And that's what he did, and it killed him a little bit each time that he uncovered something, and he past obsession, but I think in this case there should be another word for it. He was like a pit bull, and he wasn't giving up, and he was not a young man. And he just kept going. He had
this guy fought tooth and nail.
He had a lot of good people along the way, and it took so long that some died along the way. He'd get somebody on his side, like a judge, or I believe it was that one judge in the county. In this, he's played by Andy Griffith. I believe you get to see him later on, but and he was on his side and helping him push through all this because he had to go against the Army. He had to say the CID messed up the case. He went after them. They tried to quiet him down. They did things and looked into things because he pushed them. A lot of good evidence came out.
Well, the case in itself is just so traumatizing. I couldn't imagine being so one-sided, defending your son-in-law, than to find the transcripts and start second guessing and digging deeper and deeper, and
he had to fight the military for those transcripts.
Yes.
What was the military's plan if he never got a hold of the transcripts?
Well, actually, to clear that up, the actual truth on that is that Freddie was talking to Jeff. Jeff was telling, as a captain in the Army, Jeff was telling Freddie, who was in another state, I forget, where Freddie and his wife were living, that the military wouldn't allow the transcript to come out. He was using all military SOP and all this other stuff against him because Freddie had no idea. What was allowed and not. And he was like, okay, Jeff, okay. Because, well, you hang in there, Jeff. We're on your side. It was, and they'd both be on the, each on a phone. And you can hear her in the transcripts. Because I've listened to these transcripts. You can get them online. You can look in YouTube. You got to research a little bit. You'll find the good ones. But it's amazing how much they loved him, and they'd lost everything. He's all they had left.
Yeah, it was their last connection to, yeah.
And to watch the transition. In the book, it's very well portrayed. Listening to them talking, there are interviews with both of them. You can hear them in their own words saying these things, and then to watch. And she was a little bit more like behind, but she listened to Freddie. He was good to her. She got really lucky, and she was worried of course, for his health, and she just wanted to be over. She would bake, and there'd be cookies, and she'd bake, and he'd research and read that thing again, and make notes and study and look things up. It was amazing.
One quick story I wanted to add, a pretty
Go
gut
ahead.
wrenching story.
Go ahead.
Actually.
89. Sorry, wait a minute. Sorry. Go ahead.
So at a certain point, I guess after Freddie got the court transcript, Mildred actually got diagnosed with cancer.
Yes.
And she had refused all treatment because her mentality, what she said to her husband was, Colette's gone. I just want to go. And then
she didn't tell people for a long time too. She held it in as much as she could. It's just an incredible.
So when Freddie found out, or when he grew, or when he made the conclusion that something was off about what Jeff's account was, he told Mildred, and he's like, "Yo, stay alive, because we gotta nail this guy."
Yep.
So she decided to take her medication.
Yep.
Does it go into detail what that moment was where he's like,
"Oh, okay, yeah,
right.
That's another story." So when he and Jeff were still on good terms, and he was still like his most ardent supporter, he was, they were talking on the phone, and he was like, "Hey, by the way, can I get a look at the transcripts?" And then Jeff was like, "Don't worry about the transcripts."
He's like, "No, dog, you don't need to see
he's
this."
he's like, "Don't worry about the people who killed Colette. I already took care of it." And then Alfred's like, "What are you talking about?" And then Jeff told Alfred that he and a few people wound up finding the people responsible, kidnapping them, and torturing the crap out of them before executing them. So he's like, "Don't worry about it. I already got him killed."
Wow.
And then that's how he tried to dismiss the whole thing. He's like,
"Wow,
put it aside. It's over. It's done."
There is, if you will allow me, Donnie, I just, not to correct you, but just to try to keep everything as above board as we can here, because again, I want you guys to correct. If we see something wrong, find it. Bring the sauce. Tell me where you found it. Let's figure this out, because that's what we got to do. So, but he actually, in the telephone call, he said we found one of them.
Oh,
and
it was one of them.
And he said to Freddie, he said, "That's got to make you feel better." And you hear Freddie, in Freddie's voice, he was kind of holding back and saying, yeah, I know what you mean. He goes, "You know what I mean, right? You know what I'm saying?" He's like, yeah, I understand. And Freddie's kind of holding back. He's not like elated. You can hear in Jeff's voice, he's not getting what he expected either. He was, "Oh man, Jeff, that's great."
Yeah.
He out and out lied. He admitted this later on, that he lied about it. He just blew it off, and in fact, he was a little bit offended that somebody would even bother to ask him about it. Because he leaned in, he doubled down on it, and he said, "Well, I was just trying to make him feel better. He was so heartbroken about everything, and I was going to go off and start my new," because he got a new job and he went to California after the Army let him off. And, of course, he had to go on with his life. Again, you can make arguments on both sides of that fence. Of course, he had every right to, and and people grieve different. And then, what kind of, he should be suffering in some dark corner somewhere. You got both sides, and both are valid. It is what it is. But it's just
there's a lot
the
of
way
details.
he lied.
Yeah.
He just outright lied.
Yeah.
And like I said, he was more like kind of offended that the cops would even ask him about it. Well, I just did that to ease his pain, basically. I'm paraphrasing, but there you go. All right, you ready to finish this real quick? All right.
Gate 10. Jeff?
This is him going to California, by the way. He became in charge of the heart, emergency heart, and really good position. And you will hear, and we'll see it later on, he bought a boat. He called it the Recovery. Cute. And everybody loved him. They threw him parties. They thought he was he was the man. He was a big deal. You know, it's part
Like,
of
people felt sorry for him.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Jen!
I'll be back.
Go ahead. That's his mom, in case anybody didn't know. That's his mama. Here, I want to preface, I told you I would warn you, little kids, people that are sensitive. This is the point Freddie got to. He got a hold of a couple of friends that we will bring up later on next episode when we talk about the trials and the military hearing and everything like that. But I wanted to show this part because it's important. After Freddie's heart got put back together and he did all his studying, he got along a couple of people who believed in his cause. One young lawyer who you meet more later, and a good cop. And he got permission to go into the house. Now here he is for the first time going into the crime scene and trying to work out some of his questions. Heartbreaking and brilliant all at once.
It's sealed up, you know. It has been all this time.
I see you've come prepared.
I know word for word everything Jeff said at the hearing. And this is the only place I can verify those words.
Well, Mr. Kassab?
Call me Freddie.
Freddie? Go right ahead.
Dylan, man. The intestinal fortitude, babe.
What's that?
The intestinal fortitude of this man, right?
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
If you're going into the children's room, you see, things are pretty much as they were that night. And, I mean, there's still some blood stains in there.
I can't figure it. No.
What?
Some threads from his pajamas were found over there beneath the bed. How the devil did they get there? Unless, of course, he was standing there or kneeling there when he wrote pig on the headboard.
Right under the bush there, they found one of the knives in the ice pick, and the club was found right about here.
Why would 4 murderers fleeing the scene of a crime stop to put their weapons under a bush right outside the back door? Those Valentine cards, were they there that night?
That's right.
Standing just the way they are now?
Just like that.
And he fought them off in this room?
Right.
Some fight.
Just so y'all know, in here I've heard that this could go on a month. It will. This is going to be 3 to 4 episodes, but all going through all of that. Remember this moment right here, Blue, I'm right there with you, and we'll get to it, I promise. This is where I'm at right here. You're going to have a hard time getting me off that moment right there. Dylan?
The cards.
Donnie?
Yeah, that's new to me.
This is a moment
that surprises me.
I want you to remember. I have watched, and I promise you, as hard ass as I am, I got a tear in my eye right now, because when I was younger and I saw that, that's where I was. Same place. I stopped, went back, read the book, started digging. That's the moment that got me. And I have not been moved from it yet, because it happened. Now, this is a small house. Real quick, I'm going to run through it. Small house, duplex. The people next door did hear some things, and you'll hear that coming up later. Trial next time. But you are talking about in his testimony, and yes, Blue, it was released by the military, yet kept boarded up. And that's how they got permission. Lawyers helped, and it's a long story, but it comes out later in the case. You'll get your answer there. But I watched the video. They did videotape this. It's old and it's messed up. It is heartbreaking to watch the real Freddy run through these halls trying to time what Jeff said he did, to go from phone to the bathroom to the kitchen sink, to see if Jeff could have got rubber gloves that were surgeon's gloves that he brought home from the hospital that were kept under the kitchen sink, not for washing dishes, as it was said earlier, but because that's where he kept them for things that he did. She had yellow gloves. You can see them in the crime scene photos that he said he put on, which is what got Freddy crazy, because he said he couldn't even get his hands in them. So, all part of his testimony. But this is where I am right now. And if you can come up with something that changes that for me, where he says an Army Green Beret, athletic, we can probably agree on that, yeah?
Handsome,
athletic,
charming.
Well, that doesn't help you fight unless you're. Well, maybe, I don't know.
Sometimes it helps.
But think about it. Father who hears his wife and child screaming for help, and the cards are still standing, and an old man jumps up a foot and they fall down. Hard to move me from that. I don't know where y'all are.
Too.
I have to ask. I'm a bit confused in terms of the timeline, because it's my understanding from what I've read that this occurred after the military trial.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I feel like we need to go over a bit what happened with the military trial, because that's worth mentioning as well, right?
Well, we can absolutely, but what I would like to do, if it's cool with you, is wait till next episode to bring that out and just get them through, because we're running real close to time.
Yeah.
And we've got about 10 more minutes to go on the rest where we wanted to leave them.
Yeah.
and leave everybody with like a good ending. So if you guys are cool, we're gonna keep going. Dylan, you cool for a few more minutes and everything?
Oh, I'm good. I can go whenever.
Okay, cool. Because, we really want to get you guys to a point where you can go, And then maybe this week, listen to a podcast. I'm seeing a lot of good podcasts here that I'm telling you right now, they're the best. Individual, like yours, Dylan, and so many other people out there listening. Because I think we did a little more, maybe integrity, I want to dare I say, because we want to be truthful. And we double check everything. We're not just trying to get the headline in the paper, like writing for, the Times or God help us, Washington Post or one of those, but we're trying to, I don't want to say journalism, but we're at least trying to be honest, the stuff that I'm telling you that I know I've read in transcripts and it has not been wavered in any of these cases, whether it was tried in the military or otherwise, or even in appeals court. So here we go. The cards got me. Good luck moving me on it. Just saying. I'm going, Vixen Doe. I'm going, baby. Here we go. God, it's heartbreaking. Oh, Jesus. This is almost exact step to the real video. It's very well done.
Impossible. He made 2 calls for help 2 minutes apart. In those 2 minutes, he claims that he looked out the back door, went to the bathroom to check his wounds, washed his hands, checked Colette for any signs of life, gave her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, checked the kids, Kimmy and Christy, and then he staggered into the kitchen, maybe to wash his hands again. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. No one could perform all those functions in a 2-minute time span.
That's a hard fact.
I'm asleep. I wake up hearing Colette screaming. I see you standing over me. I describe you. The blonde, the floppy hat, the man with the sergeant stripe on his sleeve. I describe everything. How? How, for God's sake? This light was off. I can't recognize either one of you in this light. Thank you, gentlemen.
Man, this dude's a better detective than Bruce Wayne.
For real. I know now that my son-in-law murdered my daughter.
He's been studying.
And my 2 grandchildren.
Driven.
I know it.
Look, I might as well tell you, Freddie. I hope you realize that what we do have is still circumstantial. It's only fair to warn you. If you plan to pursue it, it could be a very long haul. Freddie?
It's okay. I plan to live a long time. And I have the patience of Job.
Damn Skippy. That'd be me right there, I'm just saying. I got all the time in the world, baby. Okay, guys. We're pulling into the home stretch here. Now, there's lots of questions, like I said, that will be answered coming up. Donnie's doing a lot of digging. We got a lot of the criminal case, the evidence that was presented, the prosecution, the defense, the lawyers, Jeff was very picky about his attorneys, and he got him a humdinger. Actually, his mama got him. His mom went and looked and got her a real good celebrity lawyer, and he stuck with him pretty much through the whole thing. He also, keep in mind, Jeff hired the man who wrote the book that this movie is based on. And I gotta say again, miniseries, they did a good job. It is very close to the book. It's one of those rare occasions that the movie actually kind of follows along, and they were trying, because it was such a big case. You know, there's a lot involved here. Army and everything else. Think about that. You know, they weren't too... Army wasn't real big on letting lies go out about something they were involved in. They screw up. They're, pardon my language, a clusterfuck in green. You know, everybody can attest to that. It's ever had anything to do with the military. We used to joke while being in there, military intelligence was an oxymoron.
Can't use it in the same sentence.
Correct. But, you know, I'm right there with y'all. But they're very good at publicity and propaganda. And they don't like being said out on the papers that the Army screwed up, the CID screwed up. They're going to tighten up quick, tighter than a crab's you know what. Right, Dylan? Fast.
Now the trial took place prior to this walkthrough.
The military hearing. Now, again, we're going to get more into the hearing and what
Okay.
happened.
We'll get into that. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll
Because
get into that.
It was very small and precise the way it was handled. But basically, the outcome of it, and we can let that go, that he was just basically released with an honorable discharge, which is weird after 9 months. I would think other than honorable, but they gave him, which tells me, and again, now here I'm guessing, spitballing, that the military at that time just wanted it done. It was getting in the papers.
Get rid of it.
They were getting bad publicity. They were getting flack because it was an open base, and hippies were crawling all over the place. They were coming there because they could get free, at least low cost, I don't want to say it was free, medical care. They were coming there to get methadone because they were on heroin and they were giving out methadone. Jeff was actually, as a doctor, doing a side, because like I said, he's into everything. He's in all the clubs, he's playing golf, he's playing racquetball, he's at the gym, he was all over the place all the time. That's how he got people behind him. That's why they rallied behind him. He was into everything. He knew everybody.
Can I say real quick?
Yes.
Can I say real quick how the military trial ended? Because if we're going,
absolutely yes. Go ahead.
The case was essentially dismissed by the colonel who was overseeing the trial because he was like, "There's no way that guy could have killed his family."
Okay, yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
So
He's
he
a
was
Green Beret. He can't do that.
So prior to the walkthrough, he was cleared of all any
The
charge.
case was totally dismissed.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The point I'm making is it sounds like they didn't put any effort into this case at all.
Like, wait till you see, baby.
If he's going through and he has all this stuff already figured out and he can already disprove the story.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind.
Okay.
All right, so the Army, you got to take it in real quick sections. You got your Army, you got your CID and your Army. Okay, you've got the higher. You know how that works.
Yeah, JAG.
Shit rolls downhill. So you've got the commander of the base that just wants the bad publicity to stop. Oh, they're saying in the papers that we screwed up. You let an EMT in there flip over flower pots and steal a wallet. All this is coming out at that time. Okay.
Dirty laundry.
Right. And that fact that the 6, I think it was 5 or 6, don't quote me on that. Donnie will probably find out the information on that. We do have depositions and everything else coming up from the people that walked in the door first. There's the young soldier who gave mouth to mouth to Jeff and saw him first on scene. We've got all that coming. But at this point in time, you also have to realize that, yes, this man's walking through a crime scene that's still boarded up, and we're not even sure if it's still to this day or it's gone. We said that. Because there was about 10 years, almost 10 years, between the military trial and Freddie getting the next trial. He had to do a civilian criminal complaint case against him.
Yeah.
It was a loophole behind a loophole. You'll see that coming up again in the legal, because like there's no way you could do legal and the guts of this trial all in the same. You can't.
Yeah.
You know, this miniseries alone is almost 5 hours. So we're picking little things to bring out along the way, and then we'll bring in, if I can, like him being on the Dick Cavett show and some of the different things. But it's a little tricky. It's old, but depending on where you get it from, I mean, I don't want to, you know, it's hard.
Instead of divulging anything that we will go over in the second part of this story,
right?
The only thing I want to say is for you people in the chat who are now fully convinced that this guy did it, there will be some counter evidence that's going to make you question that conclusion.
Absolutely.
See the curveball.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that where I am, it's so funny because after 50 years, I can remember how old I was when I read the book, and then I saw the miniseries. About a 5-6 year span between that. You know, just like this case, like I just said, Freddie had to go around handing out letters and calling congressmen and sheriffs and judges, and God only knows. It took him a long time to get to the point to be able to go into this house. I think at this point it was 7-8 years. It's so creepy. When you open that door and nobody's been in there since, you know, the murders and everything else. And again, the trial later, the jury walks through. They do it. So OJ, you know, because they take the jury through it, or the walk through it, very silently walking through the children's rooms and everything else. This is just morbid AF. You know, I mean, it just drags on and on and on. This whole time, as, you know, me, of course, you're going to know if you know me at all. I'm thinking this place has got to be haunted. These people have got to still be there. There has got to be a paranormal angle to this to maybe we can help somebody. You know, that's where my mind's going to go. You know, and I'm thinking like Vasila Axe Murder House. I'm thinking that's what, you know, you think of all the time on this, because if any place deserved to be haunted or be ringing with angst, it would be this place, and boarded up all that time. I mean, this is like some of the darkest crap. So what happened and what went on? You see Freddie going through, doing his walkthrough, doing, like as Dylan and Donnie both said, better than anybody else going in there. It's like they weren't even trying. Well, there were people trying in the background. Now, again, you've got the military, you've got the CID. They're going to do what they're told to do, and they're going to do it SOP, and their following is all compartmentalized. Everybody's doing their little thing. But you do have a lab, and you do have some very devoted individuals who really do know how to do their job, and it's a little less hectic as a bunch of young kids in wet ponchos and muddy boots walking in the back door to a domestic disturbance. This is what they thought they were going to. They didn't say, be careful, there's going to be kids' bodies all over the floor, covered in blood, in their beds, you know, a possible murderer, or, you know, a possible hippie invasion. They didn't have any of that information. And then you've got jerks like the EMT, who was probably a young kid too, sealing a wallet he saw on the table, flipping over pots, people looking at the magazine. Keep that in mind. But the bodies were treated the way they were supposed to be treated. The only thing you're going to hear about, if you really dig and you research into this, is there was a throw blanket that was moved from, I believe they picked it up off the floor and hung it on the chair. Weird shit like that. You know, why would you touch? Today, you would be fired. I would hope you'd get fired for something like that. But it's not the first time we've heard it in a case. Again, take all of that out. Please do. You know, don't bring that into your, you know, basket, whatever you're taking out of this evidence. Take it all out. There's plenty left. And Donnie just mentioned, you're going to get a red herring, too. If you guys remember, he described the hippies he saw.
Yep.
The lady in the long blonde hair. In some cases, he describes it as dirty blonde, unwashed hair. Big floppy hat, couldn't see her face because it kind of went in front of it. She's holding a candle. And she's chanting one of the most outrageously stupid things I've ever heard. Acid is groovy, kill the pigs. Acid is groovy, kill the pigs. I can't tell you how many military people I've seen in uniform say that phrase in all the documentaries and things that I've watched on this. It's just, it sounds ludicrous.
Uh-huh.
Even on mescaline and acid and dope, which the people that we're going to bring up now admittedly say that they were on. And Jeff said in 2 interviews they were high. Of course, he threw in the acid. But the magazine, don't forget the magazine. The Esquire magazine that was knocked off the table, that the table was laying on, and I will have that picture for you next week. The table's laying on top of the magazine. They pull the magazine up, the magazine has blood on it. But inside it also has a full spread on the Manson killings. In there, it actually says about how they wrote on the walls and wrote piggies and all this other stuff, what we just talked about in the beginning of this. All of that was in this article. It was all about, the hippies and the commune and everything else. Now, it is suggested later on in a very good documentary. I'm not going to link it here because I didn't use anything from it, but that stated that the girl in the floppy hat, there was another one that was seen that night by one of the EMT. Was it the EMT or the young MPs? I think it was one of the young MPs. He was not.
It was actually 2 people. There was an MP and there was a delivery guy who saw her as well.
Okay. Oh, really cool.
Yeah.
And sees a woman in the rain wearing a floppy hat and boots. I didn't hear either one of them say anything about white go-go boots, but that is in the description given by Jeffrey, that he saw flashing, like almost like they looked wet. This is the girl that he is talking about. This is the outside of, this is the back door where they went in. Do you see how young this man is? Look, he's an MP. Not taking anything away from him, but you have to understand, it with wisdom comes with experience. And I can't tell you the first time I ever stood guard duty, I probably had the same look on my face, this poor kid. But that's the kind of people you're dealing with walking into the house in the first, young. This is one of the bedrooms. This rocking horse is going to come up in later on in the next episodes, brought through by made important by one of these people, a woman in a white hat who had a white hat, and her roommate had a blonde wig, and they, tied it all in. Again, circumstantial stuff. Nothing matched up to DNA or matched. They didn't even use DNA back then. Keep in mind that didn't come till around the OJ trial to the public knowledge of it anyway. They had it earlier, but again, not in 1970. So that horse is going to come up. Again, that's as graphic as I'm going to get, because you could just imagine. This is Jeffrey and his lawyer. Do you have his correct name, Donnie?
Bernard Siegel.
Thank you. I'm terrible with names. Donnie's got the list of names. Thank you, the keeper of the list, Donnie. Okay, and he has a pistol. This is the actual...
This is the girl in the hat.
Yes, this is the actual police composite that they did originally from Jeffrey's first sit down with him, and this is what she looked like. Now, apparently, she was holding a candle, and the reason he could see her face was because the glow of the candle lit up. I'm going to tell you right now, that's also important. Think about the candle, guys. It's raining outside, number one. Number two, we all know as light keepers, we talk about candles all the time. It's hard to keep that son of a gun lit, isn't it? Think about it. But I'm sure she's got a Bic, and she's just staying right at it, keep it lit. This is Helena Stokely. This is her name. She will come up later.
Oh, yeah.
And she is what I believe the wrench in the whole machine that really kicks things off in so many different directions. Very much like a lot of the things thrown in the OJ trial. I wouldn't necessarily call her a red herring, but she's so darn close to that, to me. You guys might see it differently, and that's fair. You know, you're going to see things the way you see them. This is the number one most important pieces of evidence to me. It may be to you. You may see it differently as well. But this is the blue pajama top you're going to hear about. And I want you to remember that, and we're going to revisit this. This is really the only piece of evidence I really feel good about showing you at this time. But you really don't need to see that much more if you really think about this. And it's going to come up important, the finish of tonight and the beginning of next week's episode. This is the actual photos. It has never been denied that this is Jeffrey's MacDonald's pajama top he was wearing that night. It is the one he was talking about that he cannot remember pulling his head through. I saw Dylan's face when he said that, and you weren't really buying that either. Like, I really don't remember pulling my head through it. The way he was describing that kind of sounded funny to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking for it, but look at how that's laid out. Now, if you're looking at the mannequin and at the pajama top and looking at where the holes are, the holes that you are seeing are definitely ice pick holes. They are also ice pick holes that are clean. Now, for all my CSI people out there, they are clean holes. They are not rips. They are not tears. They are puncture wounds that are symmetrical and match up with a ice pick that was known to be used in the household, both confirmed by the in-laws, okay, and the babysitter that was there to help Colette when she was taking her classes and everything else. And they had the old-fashioned refrigerator that used to ice up. Where's all my people have that refrigerator that we used to have to bust the ice out because it got in when we had the old metal ice trays. You used to pull the thing. Oh, it was a pain in the ass. But that's where you got the ice pick from, and that, of course, derived from the old days where we had to break up the block of ice, right? And it carried over, still in the 70s. Not an uncommon thing to have in a house, and it has been confirmed that it is there. They found it, and it has been confirmed as a murder weapon. Now, what does that tell you about the holes? They weren't rips, they weren't tears. They were clean. Remember that. It's going to be important coming up. Okay, this last part, I did show you this. I'm sorry, guys, one more real quick one here. I'm sorry if that disturbs anybody. I apologize. I mean, I know you guys can take some stuff, but my idea is not to mess you around, you know. I don't want to make you feel worse. We're going to see if I can pull it up. We'll see something happy before we leave. Okay, now this is the blueprint that you're going to see in the video coming up. This is actually the whole scene made out. You see how large this apartment is? Well, it's a house, but it's more like an apartment. You walk in the front door. You saw Freddie go in the front door. When you walked in the front door, you had the hallway. You had the kitchen, a little bit of a kitchenette right off there. And then you had the bedrooms going down, respectively, leading into the master at the end. Okay? And each girl had their own bedroom. Again, Colette was found on her back, on the floor, laying next to the bed. You're going to hear about how she was found and all of her wounds. I'll let them do that. But each child was found in their bedroom. I understand, and I'm going to say this now because I'm not disagreeing with anybody, and I'm not arguing with anybody, and I'm not, we're just not really even having a debate. We're looking at this case and going, my God, have we solved this? Can we solve this? 50 years. These people cried out for help. And I've talked about ghosts, the ghost in the well, the headless ghost, all the women we've talked about that have come through, and, ghosts that have come through mediums and stuff to get help and help others. And you ask yourself, a young mother and her children and her unborn babe, and I believe Colette is telling us exactly what happened here. I believe that these children are telling us what happened here. How can I say that? I don't care. Deathbed confessions, people that have been taking drugs for 25 years like mescaline and heroin and acid and alcohol and continuously this, your mind is messed up. You know, you wrote something on the wall, I get it. You know, especially if you've been coerced and pulled into a police station and also by lawyers and everything else and coerced and told, did you see this? Are you sure you didn't see this? And offered money and food and more than likely drugs in the 70s. That's just a guess. That's not fact. That's just my guess. But it does affect a witness's statements. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Blood doesn't lie.
One thing I have to add while I was doing my research into this case, one of
Yes.
the things that was mentioned was that the fact that all 4 family members had different blood types was like
That's
a
it.
Yeah,
statistical
that's what I was just looking
miracle,
at.
and it played a big deal into the evidence.
That's the number one. That's the big bingo right
Yeah.
there, guys.
No,
That's what I mean by Colette and the girls were speaking. This is a ballet of blood. This is a macabre dance
Yeah.
of blood. And it
No.
speaks. Go ahead, Dylan.
where was Jeffrey stabbed at?
On his
Between-
body,
between
on
two
his
ribs?
body, or in the
No, in
or
the house.
Okay, in
Oh.
the house, his testimony is that he was on the chair, on the couch, because of
Yeah.
course the bedwetting. That he woke up to the sounds of both his daughter and his wife saying what he said they said. You know, Jeff, why are they doing this to me? And daddy, daddy, daddy. Okay? It was the older girl. And he said he sat up to see 4 people standing over him. A black man in a field jacket with sergeant stripes. 2 other men. And a woman wearing a floppy hat holding a candle with long blonde hair saying acid is groovy. The next thing he knows, he was hit. He felt a hit. And then he said something weird about, I used to box with boxing gloves. And I thought, man, this guy's got a hell of a punch. It really kind of hurt. And that was him emphasizing that he didn't realize he was stabbed, and that's why it hurt.
On the sofa.
And he was hit, right. And he was hit in between 2 ribs, which you'll hear later on is like, if you're going to, it's like the most insensitive spot. There's a lot of reading into where he was stabbed, how deep was the wound, could it have been self-inflicted, you know, why, you know, all these questions will come up, you know, later on because it's definite, you know, weight on the case. But that's where he was. He got another blow to the back of the head. He hears her say that, you know, acid is groovy, kill the pigs. And then he said there was no jumping around or anything. The one guy came down between the table and the couch, and they were wrestling with him, shirt pulled over, around his arms, stabbing, stabbing, stabbing. He couldn't do anything because he's caught. He's defenseless because his pajama top is around his wrist. This is his testimony. He's blocking the stabbing,
Yeah.
and then wham, and he's out.
And that's why the
Wakes up in the
puncture
hall.
marks on the pajamas are going to play a big deal.
Big deal.
Like, yeah.
Big
plays
deal.
a big deal.
Yeah, he had type B blood.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see a lot of that in the living room.
You're on it, baby. You're on it. This is why you're here, Dylan. That's cool, right? That's cool. All right, this is the last one now. Again, like the cards, the jump, and I like I said, I saw the real Freddy do that, and it really broke my heart. There is no disputing what this gentleman, the FBI guy here is saying. Now, this is one of the quiet guys in the background that did his job. He did it correctly. You saw him in the beginning when he was explaining, you know, how he had gone over. This is the ME. And, you know, he's a blood specialist. And he's the one that tells Freddie that it was a huge anomaly that each one of these people had a different blood type. That is so rare. I can't even describe to you. And again, that's how I think Colette's telling us a story and these young girls. So here we go again. If you're squeamish, I'm going to go ahead and warn you, but you know, I'm doing it for them. So here we go.
The blood.
What's that?
You mentioned the blood types.
That's right. Colette type A, Jeffrey type B, Kimberly type AB, Kristen type O.
Don't you think that's too confusing to a jury?
On the contrary, it means that we can trace MacDonald's movements throughout the apartment. It means that we know Colette left the master bedroom.
Do it.
What?
Take your A's and your B's and let me know what happened. I want to know exactly what happened.
No, that can't be done, Freddie. Not exactly. But given our chemical analysis, I can come about as close as anyone can get.
Good. Tell me.
Look, are you sure you really want me to?
Tell me.
Sorry guys, last stop, but I'm going to tell everybody in the chat, pay attention here. Listen with your eyes and your intuition. I will repeat one more time. This testimony, as this gentleman repeats, has stood in all the cases, just as he says it. To me, this is where I stay. This is the hill I die on right here, on this case. Changed my mind.
Here. Started here in the master bedroom, after Kristen had wet the bed and gone back to her own room. The hairbrush that was found by the side of the bed, it's quite possible that the very first moment of violence came from your daughter hitting MacDonald with that hairbrush. We know that he had a slight abrasion above the left eye when he was admitted to the hospital. At this point, Colette was bleeding from the nose and the mouth, and the blood was spreading out all over Jeffrey's pajama top. The pajama top was ripped open and the pocket was torn off. And it was here we found the largest number of pajama threads and fibers. She found a knife nearby and used it to protect herself, making cuts in the pajama top, dull tearing cuts that would be made by a knife of this type. Kimberly heard the struggle going on and came into the room. A neighbor was awakened by her dog barking, said she heard a woman screaming and a child crying. He had the club now, and as he swung it, he may have accidentally hit Kimberly on the left side of the head. It was a blow of tremendous force. We know that because of the large amount of AB blood found in this location. Colette was struck at this same time. While she lay unconscious on the floor, he picked up Kimberly and carried her back to her room, which accounts for Kimberly's blood being on his pajama top. He was still wearing the torn and blood-stained pajama top, and 19 threads of it were found in the child's bed covers. Somehow he got the idea about the hippies, most likely from Esquire magazine. In order to give the impression that multiple assailants were involved, multiple weapons were necessary. He put on a pair of surgical gloves and armed himself with the old hickory knife. And then in Kristen's room, the child was stabbed in her back and also in the chest. Several threads from his pajama top were found in her bed. And then Kimberly was clubbed again and stabbed. want me to go on? Do you want to hear it?
I have to hear it.
Colette regained consciousness and in a state of shock went into Kristen's room. It was there that Jeff found her again and beat her furiously with the club. Her A-type blood was found on the top sheet of the bed there and spattered on the wall. In the master bedroom, he collected the bedspread and sheet. On the way out of the room, carrying her, he left 2 footprints on the bare floor in Colette's blood, prints that match his left foot. While moving Colette, his pajama top became soaked with her blood. He left bloody fabric impressions in her blood type from his pajama top on the sheet. He also left a fragment of torn surgical glove. Then he went out and found the club again and the knife.
And then?
God knows what kind of maniacal rage seized him then, but he came back to Colette and struck her a vicious blow with the club, leaving a scrape mark on the ceiling as he swung it over his head. Then he stabbed her repeatedly with the hickory knife. Several threads from the pajama top were found under the word pig. Then he threw the top onto her to explain why it was so bloody. He stabbed Kristen many times with the ice pick, presumably before he went back to Colette in the master bedroom. And then, and this is very important, when he used the ice pick on Colette, the pajama top was over. The ice pick went through the pajama top over and over, leaving smooth cylindrical holes. He ripped off the gloves, and 4 fragments of them fell about the room. Fragments that were identical to the gloves, the surgical gloves, found in the kitchen cabinet. He now had to set up the living room to make it appear that there had been a struggle. As a surgeon, he knew just where to place the self-inflicted wound. It would prove that he was attacked. It was nothing, of course, compared to what his family had suffered. Many drops of MacDonald's blood were found in the sink. He wiped the weapons clean and put them outside in the backyard. The bath mat had the bloody impressions of a wiped ice pick and knife. At 3:40 a.m., he picked up one of the 2 phones and called for help. That's about it. Freddie?
Well, now, again, I state that was brought forth in almost every trial he did. Again, he did appeals, he did other things. They didn't go over everything all the time. However, it stood. What else do you need? Thoughts, Dylan?
Oh,
First time you're
well,
seeing this.
it's absolutely heartbreaking what happened. Like seeing, because like looking at the floor plan with the blood types and stuff, you can definitely see the traffic. I think there's a little note talks about the blood on the ceiling and stuff like that, and or the floor plan or whatever. So you can definitely see it. And then when they speak it into the chain of events that happened, it's heartbreaking, man.
Heartbreaking. I can see the mom, any mom in here. She goes into the room. She's speaking to us. And I know a lot of people are having a hard time, and I totally agree. Be kind. I understand completely, and I don't blame you if you back out now. I if you can't look, maybe just listen, because it we're fixing to end, and we're going to try to end it on a good note here. I mean, if that's possible. The thing is this: the blood is speaking to us. This is undisputed evidence. But again, like any trial, Donnie can attest to it, OJ, any trial you bring up, they start throwing in feelings, emotions, eyewitness, things, women in white hats with candles. I will state right now, and one of the things you guys, if you're interested in doing this, going and looking up, a woman walks in there on a stormy night wearing a white hat, floppy hat. No evidence of anyone else is in that house.
Yeah.
Not a footprint that cannot be traced back to a CID or an EMT. This is what took so long after the fact. The problems were made, then they had to unravel. They'd even lost the footprint, the bloody footprint that Jeff lost when they cut it out of the floor because the boards kept breaking up. They didn't know everything they were doing. However, the guys at the lab, the gentleman you just heard, he was in charge of the blood evidence, the bloody top, and other things, at the clothes, everything that was there. The sheets and the linens. They all told a story. The imprints of how he carried her. The impression of the club that swiped over the ceiling when he reached back probably to hit his wife and accidentally probably hit his child. Colette, I believe, acted out. He was mad. The kid peed in the bed again. He was tired. He's been working 24-hour shift. You see? She fought back, I think, with the hairbrush, just as the gentleman said. The board, the club that was used, was also a board that was used to pry up the bed. You'll see that later on in the trials. It was a club that was used, Colette had even used it outside to pry up something. It was something that was kicked around the house, you know, and it was under the bed. He probably reached back. Who knows the struggle that went on? You're going to hear the prosecution later on in the trial say, later on, what they think happened. But the evidence alone, the evidence, the heartbreaking, as Dylan said, evidence of the story that's told of this woman that was gone in to check her child. I think, and this is just my thinking at this point, he didn't plan this.
No.
I think there was a fight. She fought back, got out of hand. Something I'm going to say now, it'll come out later too, that he was on a lot of what they're going to call diet pills that were big back then. It's known that taking a lot of these over a long time would get you more agitated, more aggravated, more aggressive. It's, it's
we'll get into that more
it's
in part
something.
2, because I plan on researching the crap out of that particular drug.
There you go. Donnie's got this on the next one.
The side effects.
It's something to take all in there, but I think it was a family that had a fight, probably one they had before. The pockets ripped. She's fighting for herself. The woman's, both her arms were broken.
Oh, yeah. Defensive wounds.
Fighting back.
Yeah.
It sounds to me, and the prosecutor says it later on, so I won't take credit for this, but is exactly what I was thinking the first time I heard it. Jeff, why are they doing this to me? Jeff, why are you doing this to me?
They just changed the words. Yeah.
Consider that if you're dealing with a psychopath who's just clicking to the next thing, just clicking in past the obstacles, fix the issue. It's her fault. She did it. Shouldn't have done it. I have to finish it. This swing to hit his wife and accidentally hitting his child, who probably ran in to quell the argument that probably caused her to pee the bed in the first place, leading up to this, a constant problem in the household, and breaks the side of her face so badly that her nose was on the other side.
Jesus.
They know it because of the blood type in the doorway, the height, and the brain matter. It's over in his mind. He remembers the magazine. He runs in. He gets the rubber gloves. The threads that are left under pig, under the bodies, on the bodies. When he says that the top was around his hands, ladies and gentlemen, when he woke up, he struggled with it. He fought them off with it. His threads are all over. Their blood is all over, and their blood tells a story. So everything we're going to look at coming up, keep in mind, they're talking through all of it, and I think their voices should be the loudest we listen to the very end of this. Not how good looking he was, or what he did after the fact, or what the name of his boat was, or how much the ladies loved him. But what their blood is saying to us. Because I see a mom who went in to check on her child and got jumped by him. He finished her off, carried her, put her on the ground, threw the pajama top across her, and stabbed her repeatedly with an ice pick. And this is why the ice pick holes are clean.
Yep.
And the only way the number of holes match up with the pajama top match up exactly to the pattern that Colette was stabbed.
Wow.
And the pajama top, the way it was folded, I'll show you here one more time before tonight's out here. The way it was folded.
And to add a little gravity to Alfred's situation. Yeah. And,
that's the only way that the holes make any sense. It's the facts, it's science, it's evidence. It's not hearsay. It's not they saw something. There's definitely something else goes on and is going on here that doesn't quite fit with the hippies and the whole thing, and seeing the girl walking in the rain at 3 o'clock in the morning. Definitely weird. Still, the blood evidence.
Yep.
So that scene with Alfred finding out about the blood patterns and everything, you have to keep in mind, to add gravity to his emotional situation, he's finding out about all this after the trial had been dismissed. So he knows that Jeff has already been deemed scot-free. The colonel just dismissed it because he was like, this guy's too great, that can't happen. And he's finding out about this after the fact.
Think it's military. It's military 1970.
Yeah.
Military, think like Catholic Church. You screw up, they either promote you or give you a medal. In fact, that's exactly what Jeff said on the Dick Cavett show. And he was quite the star. He was quite the interested in the limelight. How much was he going to get for these talks? Of course, he masked it by having to pay legal fees, and you could see that. Not everybody can afford lawyers and stuff like that. But all added up. Again, every time something starts dragging me one way or the other, I look at that blood evidence.
Yep.
And I look at the the crime scene photos, and I can tell you that there's no way that Jeffrey MacDonald, a doctor, okay, says the things he says. I checked for their pulses and stuff. What is that? He gets caught up trying to display the emotion, I believe, at this point. He's even forgetting his medical it just doesn't sound like a doctor. He says he tried to give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to both his daughters, who were both found on their sides. The amount of blood and everything else. I mean, these babies were, So I know this is depressing, and I tried to find many ways to try to bring this to you guys. I mean, but it's near impossible. But one good thing I think we can take away from this is, like, gosh, this is 50 years. Can we not solve this case? This man is still sitting in there saying he didn't do this, and it's very possible he didn't. We might find stuff later that changes your mind.
And there are documentaries out there right now that are like talking about this case and claiming that he was framed. Don't count out the satanic acid hippie theory just yet, because there will be more details coming to light about them as well.
Yes, but I want you to ask yourself, where's the evidence? Show me the evidence. And you're going to hear that there was candle wax found that did not match any of the candles in the house. I cannot find anything, and I've searched and searched and searched, that backs that statement. That's a statement that came 25 to 27 years after the fact, when every other bit of evidence that's been through the courts and testimony and everything else said no candle wax was found, no footprints that didn't match EMTs or CIDs or the other police that came through. No fingerprints, no holes in the wall, no struggle with 4 people in a small room like that. None of Jeffrey's blood was found in that living room, as you said, Dylan. Only in front of the sink where the rubber gloves were, and in the sink in the bathroom. That's the only place.
Yeah, I would have thought there had been something on the sofa, and the whole magazine thing. I don't know, it almost seems like it was planned. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I like.
Does that play something into it? Like,
well, there was a thought about what he just spoke about, the magazine, because the older girl that I think he accidentally hit.
Yep.
And at that moment, seeing that face, that would put you into whatever dark place you need to go to pass. The Paragon Trail, the obstacle course, the runs, do you know what I mean? The combat, whatever you're training yourself to be. He clicked in at that point, I believe, and said, I have to fix this. I just read something about that. Oh my God, those murders, that's what it looks like. Yep. I don't know. We're speculating here. We're guessing. But the blood evidence shows that it had his oldest daughter's blood on that magazine. So that's why the man said he went from the bedroom, oh my God, what do I do? Hey, wasn't I reading something on this? That's right. He said that's when he went and got the gloves. He believes that's when pig was written in Colette's blood. And I also went into a little deeper on that to see the handwriting analysis, whether or not it matched, because everybody makes their P's different. Even in a situation like this, even in, was it the size? You can see the runs up. Was this the size of two of a man's hand? Of course, circumstantial. But again, his fibers from his pajama, shirt, which had been through some shit by now, was left there, like he kneeled there to do this, or whoever, wearing his pajama top with his finger size.
Sysco, can you check out Blue Crossroads comment real quick?
Yes. Let's see. Sysco, back then, government was already not popular because of the war. Yes, true. And any ammo for the press. Yep. Jumped down this road about homicidal. Yep. Soldier with public. We're already calling them baby killers. Absolutely, man. I mean, it was. That's what I was saying, touching on the propaganda and the bad press. I mean, they just wanted it to go away. This is why they honorably discharged this idiot after 9 months.
Honorable discharge.
That right there tells me, get rid of him. Here, just take it, go. Because anybody else would have got a dishonorable or an other than honorable. Now.
Was he found like not fit for duty, or did they say under
You know, I
What
didn't
conditions
read
got
this document.
discharged?
That's a good question. If anybody wants to look that up, I didn't. Donnie, did you see his discharge
I
papers?
didn't see the reason for the discharge, but I do know that it was an honorable discharge.
That's confirmed, but I
Yeah.
didn't see. I know they say it twice in a couple
Yeah.
documentaries I watched, but I don't know for sure to state it here. But if somebody comes up with that, absolutely throw it our way, because you're gonna see stuff like I said coming up. If you don't even look at this for a week, and then we come back next week, if we all can get together then to come back and look at the trials and the more of the military hearing. But
Yeah,
it
I'm
seems
interested to
me,
hear that.
Yeah, it seems to me it was just get rid of them, just like promote them like a priest that's, a pederast or something. You know what I mean? Just move them on and giving them a appointment. And I thought it was funny that Jeff said that on Dick Cavett. And he was very cavalier about things. Again, I know people grieve different and people react different to things. And I do totally respecting your comments, Ian, about the furniture. I mean, maybe he was getting the furniture because he was responsible for the payment and he was just following orders. Very possible. All that's very possible. All of that. The blood speaks. The blood speaks. I see a mom that went and checked in our kid. I see I gotta kill the baby too. How in the world? We can't wrap our minds around it. We can't believe that kind of evil lasts, that it exists. We don't think like that. But is an innocent man in jail right now with 3 consecutive life terms, because that's what he got.
It'd be hard to make me think otherwise.
And as a little teaser for part 2, Helena Stokely speaks.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
she
boy.
does.
Yeah.
And again, not an innocent victim, but people would get hauled in, you'd get questioned, you'd get roughed up. This is her from high school. She died, am I wrong, Donnie? Somewhere around like age 30.
Yeah, like 30. I think it was like 83, like at age 30.
Yeah. Admittedly, an informant, sometimes she'd say I was there, and then she'd say, I don't know what you're talking about, man. She also told the lawyer, Barry Siegel was trying so hard to get her to say she was there. Of course, that gets his client off. Reasonable doubt, man. He pushed it so hard. His whole team, you have to understand, this was like, again, think, OJ trial. This was like the dream team here. And they get her in there and they'll give her food. I don't want to say they offered her drugs, but are you telling me that a cop never paid an informant or vice versa? You know what I'm saying?
This wasn't like the OJ trial. This was like 4 trials. This was like multiple trials.
It was a trip.
Yeah.
And, this is him. This is Barry.
Yeah,
This is Jeff. Jeff hired, well, actually, no, that's wrong. His mother hired Barry, like I said before, a famous lawyer, then a celebrity lawyer, whatever. But Jeff also hired the man who wrote the book, Fatal Vision, and I will have more on all that too. Jeff liked the publicity. He wanted the help. You could work both ways, innocent or not. It doesn't really prove anything. This proves something. His story doesn't hold up with this evidence I'm looking at. This is actual evidence. You don't need to see anything else. The blood in this says everything to me. And now, if you want to see other stuff, it's absolutely available. I don't know if my mod still has that link to. You can watch this whole mini series. You can look up documentaries. All you have to do is put Fatal Vision or Jeffrey MacDonald in YouTube or Rumble or Odyssey or any of those. You're going to get so much. 50 years of information.
I think Linda Lee Chavez says she's going to go out and get the book and read it before next week's show.
Fantastic. I love that. I love that. And bring your ideas. Hey, Fast, welcome in. I love that. And my whole point wasn't to get everybody depressed tonight, but maybe to give you something else to think about, because I know you have analytical minds, or you wouldn't be here, and you're thinking about paranormal or supernatural or whatever. This is stuff that's going on here amongst the living as well, and it's something we may not ever understand it. We'll never understand a psychopath or whatever, but it's not just today. We've got mental health problems with people around us, and I really believe that we're in this, like, whether you believe you're in a spiritual battle or you're in, you're I can't imagine what you call the things that are going on today, other than a spiritual warfare. Maybe just the dials going up to 11, I guess we could say. But evil's nothing new, and
Nope.
the evil things that people do to each other is not new. But for Pete's sake, just like Bigfoot, 50 years of the same thing over and over again, we can solve this one maybe. Or maybe to the fact of just say, we can discern better. Because it has nothing to do with, as emotional it is, it has nothing to do with emotion. It has to do with facts. And we need to start being able to look at cold, hard facts, because facts don't care about your emotions. As emotional as I get listening to this mom going to check on her child and having her husband, who she stood by since she was 14 years old, a pregnant mother, checking on her child, knows her child's hurt, seeing her child hurt. And the next thing you see is your husband, who's supposed to protect you. If that happened.
And look at the other side. If the other side is true, then you have someone who was like an American hero, a soldier, a doctor, who was the prototypical American who was unjustly prosecuted for the death of his family, which is devastating enough as
Would
it
be
is.
devastating.
And now not only is he languishing in jail, but those people responsible are out free.
Yeah.
Yep. And you will hear things coming up that'll make you wonder that.
Yeah.
And I say, when we start to feel our minds going in that direction, and you feel like you're getting lost in a sea of WTF, go back to the evidence. Go back to what you can prove to yourself. To yourself. Don't believe me. This is all researchable. And if you want to get away from the world a little bit, I know it sounds macabre to look into a crime, but it train your minds to look at and discern. Maybe we're so worried about what's happening now. If we go back 50 years, we feel disconnected from it a little. And we can try to figure this out, and maybe it'll help us figure out some of the stuff that's going on now in our own lives. Look at things different. Try not to get so much emotion into it, maybe, even though it's hard because it's an emotional thing. But facts, stick to facts. Facts don't lie, Evidence can be tampered with and people can lie, but, evidence like it's in this crime. I never understood how this went so far and was questioned.
This went all the way up to the Supreme Court,
Yeah.
just as a teaser.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to think that people that are still alive that are involved in this, both of the parents, Freddie is gone, and Jeffrey's mom, and the brothers are still around, and I've listened to all the documentaries on them and everything else. And like I said, you can too on YouTube. Just put in Fatal Vision and you can watch the miniseries. Try not to get too far ahead though. If you're going to read the book, come back if you saw evidence that we missed. But again, beware of stuff that you hear. Just a lot of the stuff, even some of the eyewitness reports of seeing the girl outside of the military building at 3 o'clock in the morning with a floppy hat, standing in the rain that 2 people saw. Some of that's been refuted in a way too. But again, not that as uncommon as that sounds, it doesn't prove anything. It's said that he may have on outside seen somewhere, and that's where he got the idea, out the window or something. Again, we're speculating and guessing. It's circumstantial, and it's really twists and turns. Dylan, any last words that you want to put out there? It's a trip, right? First time you're hearing
It definitely is, and
hell of a case, man.
I really want to look into it, but I want it to be fresh for next week. I'm looking forward to the court cases because I don't see him not being guilty in any way, and I don't know how I can be dissuaded from that.
It's tough, man. It's tough. And, even like Blue said in the very beginning, about being on TV and these things are switches. I get it. I totally get it. I'm big on, especially any shows like this because it twists and turns, and I'm a real stickler for, man, that's not what the book said. And wait a minute, was the book even true? Go back to the real stuff, Not even, it's so hard to get the truth. And, even court transcripts, So you dig a little deeper and you look at somebody's, journal and what are they saying? What are they saying in the telephone conversations, which there were many. Keep in mind, we have a gold mine of information because Freddie, wonderful man that he was, got suspicious early on and decided he was going to record every phone call that came through.
None of this case blowing up would have happened if it had not been for Freddie.
Yeah. So we have that to back up things as well. We can, and you not only what they're saying, but how they're saying it. How does it sound? How did their character change throughout? And we got a lot of that on Jeff and stuff too. So crazy as it is, there's that. Guys, next week to be continued. What do you think?
Story gets crazier.
Sounds good.
Story gets crazier.
Yep, it really does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a trip. My heart goes out to everybody here. Again, don't forget those who fought so we could keep our heads on our pillows in peace tonight. So let us pray that it continues. And I love each and every one of you. We'll see you here tomorrow night for Monday Madness. Donnie, what you got going on this week? Where can we see you? No karaoke, no.
I mean, you can see me in my house, but you ain't invited.
Stand-up comedy. Not play it out anywhere.
No, I'm not doing anything. No.
Opening, closing. No. How about you, Dylan? What you got going on, baby? Thanks so much for being here. By the way, it's so much fun when everybody, you got more than one mind in the bunch.
Lots of stuff going on this week. Remodeling, baseball games, the whole 9 yards. But
yeah, that's great. Enjoy your families, everybody. If you can picnic or whatever. Like I said, we had baked beans with bacon. Yes, and the whole pound of it in the baked beans. There was more bacon than there were beans. That's the way we do it here in America. America, hot dogs. I think some people were even putting the beans on the hot dogs. So have it your way.
That's pretty good.
That's celebrating freedom right there, So thank you guys so much. Same time next week. Are you all good? If anything changes, we can.
Yep, I'll be here.
We can, we might even have to pick up one in the middle of the week sometime or something if that's what we have to do to finish this. But I'm in it for the long haul. How about you, chat? You want to see what happens at the end of this crazy ride? It's been something. It really has. I mean, 50 years. Think about it, and it's still active.
It's still going on.
Yeah, and that ought to tell you something. I mean, he's been in jail for a long time.
How old is he? This be like 80s.
Do you got that, Donnie? I think he is. I think he is. I think he is. Wanted to see, while you look for that, Donnie, really quick, I'm going to see if I can do this without screwing
He's 78 right now.
78.
Yeah.
Wow.
78. Wow. I'm hoping this is here. If it's here, I'm going to play this for you guys. Oh, I got it. Donnie, tell us a little bit about what we got coming up. Buy me 35 seconds.
Coming up, we've got more of this story. Things are going to get pretty wild, and we're going to take different angles too, because there's the whole legal and psychological component, and we're going to try to really analyze this guy. Yep. And then we're going to dig deeper into this Helena, the woman in the hat, go into her story and
her boyfriend.
Yeah. There's a whole other situation with her too. So she is definitely the monkey wrench in this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm gonna have to look into her before next week. I don't know if I can hold back and wait.
Yeah. If you feel
tomorrow, I'll be listening to podcasts and watching videos on it.
Well, see, that's the thing. Again, I highly recommend anybody who wants to look into this, find, if you have a true crime, oh God, I think I might be able to pull this off. This would be so cool. Donnie, remember when we were talking on the phone today? Mm-hmm. And something happened that I said I just have to show everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, before I hit play, what was I saying? Okay, you were saying something, Donnie. I just totally lost my train of thought. I was so excited to show you this.
I said that, there's more good stuff yet to come next week, and the Helena, what was it, Stokely?
Yes,
the monkey wrench.
Uh-huh.
And she's a big monkey wrench, trust me. Once you get into her story.
There was someone dropping a podcast name in the comments a while ago.
Yeah. That's true. That's what I was saying about podcasts. That's where you're going to find the real good stuff. Because, like I said, like Dylan Digs for the Truth, Steve, all the writers for Missing Persons and Mysteries, you know what I mean? You're really going to find a lot of good information in there, but I do caution you that a lot of stuff has been thrown in like 20, 25 years after the fact. You know, some guy said this in a bar, this lady left, you know. So look into that and then go back to the evidence and say, does it match the evidence? You know, I'm trying really hard not to just pull evidence that follows a narrative, because I think that's what we do wrong all the time. But let's see. This happened while Donnie and I were talking on the phone, and I said, I want to end this tonight in a happy way. There's no way I can do it with the case. But then this happened, and I said, I gotta show you guys I got baby dogs. Look at them. There's your happy. Can you hear him? See him? This little guy, he took the hard road. Look. There he goes. And there they go. This is my yard. That's my Buddhas. See that proud mama? See that proud mama? There she goes. This is the way it should be. This is how children should behave. There they go. Yup, fuzzies. And
I
that's
remember when I was on the phone with you trying to get all serious talking about this case, and all of a sudden you're just like, baby dogs.
That's just to go to show you that life goes on. And there's our baby geese. See them? They look like pterodactyls. And that's something. Life goes on, ladies and gentlemen. It really does. And we are all blessed. So hug the ones you love. Be cool. Make good choices. Be kind to each other. If you're interested in investigating this case, again, YouTube, Fatal Vision, again, the book, fantastic. It's all free. On you know, because why? We love the tubes. Please like and share. Give a thumbs up.
Hail the
We love the
YouTube
tubes.
gods.
Oh, hail YouTubes.
Yeah.
Why? Because we love them. And, you know, please share it out. If you know somebody that's interested in, you know, real crime and cases, cold cases and stuff like that, they're going to love this one. This one is going to go on a while, guys. And by the end of it, we will be purged. And Donnie and I and Dylan are trying to work on something really special for the last one. We're hoping. And, you know, we put a little paranormal twist at the end of this. What do you think? So hang with us. I love you all for being here. Thank you, gatekeepers. Thank you to all the Black Ops mods. Teespring.com/Sysco. Go in there and get you some gear. You got my PayPal. Thank you again for your kind donations. I love you, love you, love you, mean it. And just remember, the little ducks, life goes on, okay? Hug your little ducks tonight and keep your ducks under the covers, because there are things that go bump in the night. Thanks, guys, for coming in. We love you.
Thank you.
Great job. How much fun. In a macabre, kind of sickening kind of way.
Yeah.
I
we
love
haven't
you
even
guys.
started yet. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good night, everybody.
Yep. See you later. Thank you.
Oh, good night. Here we go.